Good evening, Westeros. What's up? How's it going? It's time for some After the Fyre. We've got some weird energy backstage today, but I'm hyped for a good chat show. We haven't done an After the Fyre in quite some time. And unfortunately, Sam is feeling a bit under the weather today. So we're just going to sit and talk in your ear holes for an hour or so. So before we get started, let's do our introductions. I'm Susie. I play Miria, who is the best member of House Greenmont. Don't at me. And here are my lovely friends. Hi, Don.
Hey, I'm Don. I play Samwell. He's not part of House Greenmont. Hi.
Excellent introduction. Excellent, fantastic, brief, to the point. I'm about it. Hi, Virginia.
Hi. I play Mara. Susie's character hates me.
Yes, my character.
I used to be House Greenmont, and then I got married and banned from Fox Hollow, so...
You skipped over some stuff there, Virginia?
I didn't murder anybody.
Fucking might as well have. Anyway, Tom, hi.
Wow. Hi, I'm Tom. I play Enzo. He is also not of House Greenmont. He is a Bravosi pirate, and he is mechanically very pretty.
He is a beautiful boy.
Tom, high five. The both of us being mechanically pretty characters.
So, anyway, we're on to season 4 of this show now, which is absolutely buck wild, and a lot of things happened. Oh, Tom's... no pictures for Tom. No pictures, please. I'm just going to throw it as a little cheeky host, just while I remember. So, hey, if you're on Twitch and you haven't yet thrown as a host or a follow, please do so. It helps us a bajillion tons. Thank you very much.
I am a cast member who has definitely remembered to do that.
Look at all my friends here now going, oh yeah, let me just quickly do that. Tom, you are a little quiet, apparently. So, I think we should start from the beginning of season 4, right? Because we haven't done an After the Fyre yet. So, season 4 begins. It has been 5 years since the events of the season 3 of After the Fyre, in which a lot of shit went down. And a lot of shit happened in the 5-year time gap, some of which has been revealed, some of which hasn't yet. But as we started with the family once more, it was the beginning of a tourney, which was soon found out to be hosted by House Greenmont itself in the Red Mountains between Greenmont and Blackmont, which is an extremely significant positioning considering the events of the time skip and the sort of politics of Westeros in that 5-year time. So the episodes so far have been pretty low-key. They're very character-driven. There's not a lot of way in terms of action that's happened yet. It's all about the family reunion. But before we get to reunions, there's a couple of things that happened. So to begin with, Lady Marcia had a tour of the grounds. She greeted some guests. She went toe-to-toe with Leo Longthorn, had a little sass-off, told him, like, hey, Leo, I can get you in with the prince if you like, if you want. I can talk to the prince for you. And Leo's like, excuse you. There was a lovely little bit of sparring there from Marcia, which is something you don't see often from Marcia, and I really like that. That's like a sassy aside to her, and I think that's a hint of maybe what's to come. She seems to definitely be more of a player now of the game, rather than someone who the game is played upon. But that conversation was actually super juicy. She also went to speak to the Dornish camp, or the Dornish houses that had arrived so far, and spoke to Lord Stefan Jourdain, and did pretty well in an intrigue against Jourdain too. Like she bumped him up, I think, a disposition, right? She like charmed him, I think, or convinced him. Or was it convinced she went for? Either way, she convinced him not to fight the other people that were here and to just, chill. But she also let slip the true intention of the tourney, which was to announce the betrothal of Miria and Lord Ellery Peak. Which is that's a whole other thing that we need to talk about later. But after that, it was Miria and Enzo that got to have a chat. And Miria offered Enzo, well, she didn't offer him a job. She went, hey, do this thing for me. I will pay you. In which she wanted to enter the tournament. And Enzo's like, what? Okay, sure. But the problem is, all her shit is back at Castle Greenmont. So she has to get armor. So she can't exactly rock up to the smiths and be like, hey, I want some armor. So she sends Enzo in her stead and has asked him to enter her into the tourney, which requires a sponsorship of a knight, which is, again, something we'll get to later. Shortly after that lovely conversation where fun was had and drink was shed and nothing was wrong at all in the world, someone turned up. See that face?
I'm scared to talk. Yes, Mara shows up, and she shows up having travelled down here with Sir Samuel Tarly and her brother Simon, who is probably disapproving the entire way down. There is a nice exchange with the three of them all on horseback, where Mara gifts Samuel a favour for the tourney, because he intends to be part of that. And he gives her this really beautiful white deerskin cape, which I had no idea was happening.
But what was significant about this cape, Virginia?
This cape? I mean, I couldn't possibly think, Susie. Definitely not the dried forget-me-nots sewn into it,
Mm-hmm.
or the fact that, you know, it's a reasonably expensive gift from a man that isn't her husband.
Mm-hmm. Furious fanning.
We're not going to talk about the jewels, okay? This is where Susie gets me to admit that I'm a bad person. But yeah, they head in, and her and Miria see each other for the first time since Miria left for Summerhall. So it's been
7 years.
7 years. It's not a pleasant exchange. Mara is completely taken aback by the fact that Miria now looks even more like their mother than she ever did as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And is genuinely very pleased to see that she is here and safe. I mean, she's known that she's home. She has spoken to Marcia, but Miria hasn't answered any of her letters in 5 years. There is a very angry exchange from Miria's side. And then the two of them get into full sister mode of just being spiteful to each other for a bit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
While Samuel has to stand there and just watch this happen, and Enzo excuses himself with alcohol.
Enzo's like, nope, I don't want any of this.
And then Marcia comes along, and there's a very awkward exchange between her and Mara, which is basically, I'm glad that you came, because obviously Mara was invited. She didn't just like rock up and without an invite, but she's told very specifically she's not welcome to the ball because it's within the halls of Fox Hollow. And gets cautioned about her friendship with Samuel, because as we find out, and me and Don haven't had any secret about since the season started, in the 5-year time skip, they spent a solid year traveling along the west coast of Westeros, and basically just shedding all responsibility and just disappeared for a year, and then just kept going on trips every now and then after that. So Mara did not have a good time at Old Oak for the first year, and doesn't like being there, and doesn't like her husband, as we find out.
As we find out, indeed. So that basically summarizes episode 1, I think, pretty quickly, right? That's basically everything that happened in episode 1. It was mainly the lead up to people arriving to the tourney, and then this big reunion. Go on, Don.
Sorry, go on, Don.
Marcia, it's important. So there's this entire thing where there's these conversations as they're riding on the road and they're getting closer. Like there's this anxiety of returning for the first time to House Greenmont event, and in this reunion, how people are going to react. And of course, they don't react well to Mara or Samuel, but mostly to Mara being there. And there's this moment where Samuel has this conversation with Marcia where he tries to smooth things over. He's a big doof, and he genuinely, you know, like he's lived this sort of life where, like, you know, if I'm just nice to people, because I'm the Lord of House Tarly or his son, then they're going to be nice to me back. So he's used to that happening. And there's this conversation with Marcia that's, it could have gone worse. It could have gone worse. But she did make it clear to Samwell that it would be in his and Mara's best interest if they stopped spending time together. And I believe it was towards the end of this episode where it was also made clear, I think, to Mara that they should not enter into Fox Hollow.
They
right. Should not go home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is important.
It's also in that conversation that we hear Marcia for the first time, I think, since that fateful night where Alistair attacked everyone, where she actually refers to Mara as her daughter, and I definitely wasn't crying. So we find out that you know, to some degree, there isn't completely lost hope for some kind of reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
But also, as Charlie pointed out in the Twitch chat, we met Gregor, who is by far the best squire.
Yeah, that was Pope. We meet Gregor, everyone's favorite squire.
Oh, it's Pope. Sorry, all of the text is the same color for me.
So one thing about After the Fyre, and this is like not about like this episode in particular, this is a meta thing. Sam's squires are always the best characters. Always the best, because they just don't give a fuck anymore. Sam's squires are Sam when he was working retail. And I know this 100%. That's the same energy as someone who works retail.
You're not wrong, Susie.
Oh yeah, my lord, I'll just go check to make sure your armor's polished. She's having a cigarette behind the tent. Yeah, I'll go get your boots.
Called out here.
I think they're in the back. Disappears for 15 minutes, couldn't find them. It's... telling you, squires are the retail workers of Westeros.
They hear everything, and nobody realizes that they're the ones that tell all the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think we did. Mara joked that perhaps because Gregor makes a comment about the rumors regarding Mara and Sam, and I think she makes the comment to Samwell, like, "Is your squire the one who's starting all of these?"
Probably. It's a squire. Oh, yes, we also learned another important piece of information in this reunion that Miria and Marcia went to King's Landing at some point in the time skip. And during that time skip, both of them went to see Alistair, and Miria might have told him about the baby.
And Mara hasn't been to see Alistair since ever.
No.
And didn't tell him about the baby, or the fact that she disappeared. Like, she spent the first year of the 5-year time skip basically in mourning. She was not having a good time until Samwell finds Simon, and that kind of brings her back a bit. But yeah, we find out Miria kind of throws it in her face that she's seen Alistair and knows that Mara hasn't been to see him.
Yeah.
And told him about the baby, which puts Mara into a state of, oh fuck.
Yeah, so I mean, let's talk about that confrontation, that reunion a little bit, because we knew it was going to be a tough scene, right? We knew that these two people, and especially bringing Samwell too, and I'll ask you, Don and Tom, what you felt about it a little bit later. But you know, with Mara returning after 7 years of Miria not seeing her, after everything that's happened, Mara's marriage to Alistair, her being there on the night of Oliver's death, we knew it was going to be like a tough scene. I didn't 100% know how Miria was going to react. Like, here's the thing, like with Miria, when I'm playing her, it's like I have a vague idea sometimes of where, you know, she's headed, or like what her headspace is like. Half the time I'm talking and she's like talking for me, like she just comes out with shit. And that happened during that confrontation. Like, stuff came out and I was like, oh.
It keeps happening whenever we have scenes together. It's just... But it's the thing, like, I'm the same. I know how Mara feels about certain things and certain people, but I have no idea how she'll react to whatever's put in front of her until we're actually role-playing on the night, even if it's stuff that, like, has been schemed about behind the scenes.
Yeah. I think for me with that scene, I originally thought that Miria was going to be a little more cool, calm, and collected about it. I thought she would be like it's nice to see you, Lady Oakheart, and then just like fuck off and, you know, like just cold shoulder it. But then Mara was like, you look just like our mother, our mother, our mother, our mother. And like everyone was like a little pick away at that sort of emotional scab within Miria. And I could feel like the anger from the character bubbling up. And I was like, oh, she's going to lose it. She's not going to be cool and calm and collected anymore.
It's worse as well, because the fact that she looks like her mother is also the reason that Lucas kind of wasn't really around for her as a kid. I worked out the other night that Mara is pretty much the only of the living Greenmont children who had a good relationship with her mother and her father. Neither Miria never got the luxury of having Elise around, and both her and Simon, Lucas didn't really know what to do with for various reasons. But yeah, she shows up, and you know what's worse is that when you really think about it, Mara shows up. Yeah, she's wearing a riding dress, but it's a nice dress. She's got these very expensive jewels around her neck that Samuel had bought her while they were on their travels. And then she introduces Samuel as a friend after Miria knows that he was there the night Oliver was killed.
Oh yeah.
And it's not even like a polite introduction of here's somebody who happened to show up with me. It's like, here is my friend. This is my sister. And Mara knew it wasn't going to go well, but she also knew that she had to do it, because not greeting Miria, not saying the things, like there was no winning situation for her there. If she ignored Miria, it would have looked bad, and talking to Miria went badly.
Well, it'd been like Alistair 2.0, right? You can't just ignore a problem and hope it goes away. So I think she learned from the whole Alistair thing is you can't keep ignoring it, because you've got to deal with it, right, at some point. But
we'll talk about ignoring things and dealing with them when we get to another episode.
But 100% they're rocking up with Samuel, you know, who was involved with the night where Oliver died, and being like, here's my friend Samuel. And of course the rumors have reached Greenmont, because you know you've been in touch with Marcia and people talk. We've been to
rumors
court.
Have been going for like ever since they went on that first trip.
Yeah,
because when we actually rolled behind the scenes, that was the 5-year period that Oakhart got. They got a scandal, and that's kind of where that was.
Yeah, for sure.
That was born from.
And, you know, in the 5-year time skip, both Miria and Marcia have been to the various courts. Like, so that's where gossip spreads. That's your gossip central. So we've heard all about these lovely holidays that Mara and Samuel have been taking. So when Mara shows up being like, you don't know how hard it was for me, Miria. Miria's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was hard? You've been on holiday, you're wearing jewels, you're in a fancy dress, and it was hard for you? This is Miria's outrage, right? She's like, who the fuck are you? Like,
and she's completely right as well. Like, you know, Mara did have a hard time of it in that first year. And to some degree, all of this is because she doesn't know how to process grief properly over everything. And Samuel is this friend that she has, because she doesn't, if you look back at the other series, she doesn't really have friends. She spends so much time trying to make sure Alistair doesn't get himself into shit, because the boy doesn't know how to navigate politics, that she never really branches out to have friends like some of the other characters do. So when she loses him, that's everything gone.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is Samuel is one big troublemaker. That's all I'm hearing right here. You know,
I mean,
it's just
you know, I think there's this thing with people who are entitled, who are very naturally entitled, where they're very good at compartmentalizing and they're very good at rationalizing pretty much anything. And if they lack the self-awareness to realize that they're doing that, then it can be problematic. And I think that's, you know, there's a big element of that in play. That's something I think about a lot playing Samuel.
Yeah, I think it's partly something that can't be avoided with the type of characters we're playing. We're playing nobles in a feudal system. We're all born entitled. We're all garbage because we, you know, profit off the back of the small folk who are like, except you, Tom, you were a fucking pirate, so just get out of here with this innocent
You were a different
act.
kind of awful to us, but you're still on the same level of awful as
and
we all
you
are.
enjoy all the comforts of a noble house. So you're still in a big fancy house where there's peasants scrobbling around in the dirt, starving to death. And I think that is definitely one thing we've seen from Mara and Samuel this season, that they are these privileged kids, right? They've got these big ideas. They can compartmentalize. Yeah, they've been through some shitty stuff, but the way they're dealing with it is like more excess, more alcohol, pity me. And it's one of those things that, like, I've felt this personally in my life. Like, I've had some terrible things happen to me. When someone's complaining about like a bumped finger, the next day I'm like, who the fuck, how do you know what? You know, there's like that internal, like, you don't even know. You don't have a fucking clue. And I think that's where Miria is coming from right now. I mean, she's privileged in her own way, but Miria has been through hell in her short life. So to
They're
her...
privileged in different ways.
Yeah.
I think.
So to her, she's like, what the fuck are you complaining about? Like, honestly. So on the outside of that conversation, Tom and Dawn, how were you, like... What were your characters feeling? What were you guys feeling in that scene when me and V were just laying into each other?
Keep your mouth shut and just drink. Pretty much what Enzo was thinking. It's like a minefield that you just don't go into it.
Yeah, I think Sam was partially there too, but he knows it's an important conversation. They'd have the talk about, you know, this is probably gonna be hard, it's probably gonna be ugly, and it's, you know, I mean, he has his own personal stuff that's tied up in all of this too, because he was there at the massacre at Fox Hollow, and although he wasn't Alistair, he was complicit in a very large, in a very significant way, and you know, imagine, I think there's this thing where everybody, when they're young, they've done, you know, you do shitty things at some point in your life. It just happens. And you, especially when you're young, and you have to, what you don't realize at that age is like, you have to live with that for the rest of your life. That has, like, you have to deal with that one way or another, or go out of your way to not deal with it in one way or another. And those experiences very much form who you ultimately become. And so there, I think it's really fun to play with the idea of, are those experiences, do they make you a better person? How do they change you? And how don't they change you? And so I think that's a fun part of it. So Sam has his own guilt, and he has his own things that he thinks are right. But mostly he knew that this was going to be a very hard conversation for Mara. And for Miria, right? Like, it's not like he's not without sympathy for the Greenmonts, even if he doesn't know them as well. And so he was just sort of biding his time and drinking, and there to make whatever sort of small impact he could. He might think for the positive. It might not have been for the positive, but that was at least his intention.
Yeah, I will say, to Samuel's credit, he at least seems contrite, right? He's come here and he's like, I know that I did something horrible, and I'm so sorry, and I want to make it up to you. Like, there is some contrition in his words, which is, I think, why Miria hasn't actually killed him.
Samuel is really wholesome.
Yet.
Oh boy. But yeah, it was a big juicy season opener, and I liked that it was actually quite a quiet one. But we forgot the fucking Sam's intro monologue-y bit that he does with every season.
Yes.
Which is very important, because it gave us a hint as to what Aegon Rivers and the Blackfyre rebels are up to. We followed the general, who I think I know who it is. I think I know, and I so hope it is. So my guess for the general is that it's Harris Ball, because, and this was never said on screen, but Sam told us that at the end of last season, Harris got busted out of Summerhall, and I asked him, has there been any word of Harris in the 5-year time skip? And he said, not a word, which says to me that he got out of Westeros into Essos. And, you know, he was the son of Fireball, Sir Quentin Ball. Like, he's gonna go join Blackfyre, because he was a little Blackfyre kid anyway. So, and this general is a young man, you know, he's full of, like, swagger. He's got some prowess. I think it's Harris. But as we follow the general, we find out that Bittersteel is going to be landing in Dawn for his invasion of Westeros, which is gonna be juicy because Dawn, at the minute, as we know, is kind of on the precipice of war with the Reach. There's been skirmishes, there's been battles, but I think that conflict is starting to reach like a pitch too, right? Like it's been going over the 5 years, but I feel like it's only building in intensity. And despite Marzia's good intentions of this being a peaceful tourney, this is where the gloves are going to be slapped across faces, right? The gauntlets are going to be thrown.
There is this thing in.
Sorry, I was just going to say, which kind of makes me think, when he said he wanted to land in Dawn, and he was so adamant in landing in Dawn, I thought, why the hell would you want to land in Dawn? Dawn has historically been an awful place to try and invade, incredibly difficult to hold. Yeah. But it kind of made me think, well, where was Blackfyre's biggest supporters in the Reach? If he's attacking Dawn from the east, those supporters quite easily can attack from the west, and that's a war on two fronts. And Dawn cannot hold against that at all. And then that's one kingdom gone straight away. The Reach might have internal fighting and stuff, and there's more to it than that. But that's kind of like what I think Bittersteel is kind of thinking.
I have a couple thoughts about this. One of them is, and this is probably not the case, but what if he's not invading all of Dorne to conquer Dorne, but because he's worked out something with some of the more powerful and influential Dornish lords. And the plan isn't to hit Dorne from both sides, but it's to roll up from the south to the north and just keep rolling. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Go up the east coast, like up the Bone Way, just keep going up the Storm Coast.
Well, it's like
keep going and going.
Well,
to King's Landing, I think.
What is Maren Martell doing, right? He wasn't. He hasn't been anywhere when anything's been happening. Like at King's Landing, where the king wanted to, as we know in the Crownlands, build a fleet to attack Tyrosh, to siege Tyrosh. Maren Martell is down at Ironwood having a good time with Horatio and attacking his own men because he's a scumbag. So Maren Martell is not. He's not doing anything. He's a weak leader. So if I was Bittersteel, I'd be like, yo, this guy's not like doing shit. We just roll in on his country, like easy peasy. And I was chatting with Charlie the other day, actually, and she had a very good suggestion that maybe Bittersteel is landing at House Will, because it's not too far away from Tyrosh. Like the stepstones come across, you can get across really easy, and you've got the Bone Way, which gets you straight up to the Stormlands and Summerhall, which is right there. You take Summerhall, that's Prince Maekar, either dead or unseated. You know, you've isolated the Stormlands from the rest of the kingdom. So you take the Stormlands, then you build your base there, right? That's your fort. Like, you can just take that whole region and then just sweep from there. And especially if it's Blackfyre, you know, you're going to bring out the old supporters from the old days. It's a good strat, honestly.
We know how strong at this point, how many years the Golden Company has had to build up its forces too. This is not a small threat that'll be coming across. And we're off of canon now, because Blackfyre 2.0, you know, canonically, it happens in a few years later, and it involves Sir Gorman Peake, who's already dead. Like that player is off the board, so he can't mastermind it. So we're going to get a version of Blackfyre 2.0 that does not exist previously in canon, which I think is really cool and exciting. There is also a battle that happened recently, like very closely before the beginning of this season, that hasn't really come up too much, but is I think it's a key indicator of where the Reach versus Dorne situation is, where a bunch of Dornish houses, many of them Blackfyre supporters, though not all, invaded Dorne for whatever reason. Who the fuck knows why they went down there, but they got all the way almost down to Sunspear. I mean, they got all the way down to the Brimstone River, and then they were routed by a couple of major houses, House Uller and House Corgoyle, and it was the Battle of the Brimstone. And this is one of those things that Sam wrote to add to the story before the season began. So there is this major battle. It's not as big as, the end of the Blackfyre Rebellion, Battle of the Red Grass, but it is a significant loss for the Reach. They had to hightail it all across Dorne, all the way back up into the Reach, being trailed and picked off the entire time in the heat of the Dornish summer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're coming in right at a time where there has been another significant loss for the Reach.
For sure. And, he's not an idiot. Blackfyre, Rivers, he's got spies everywhere. He'll know this. And he knows that as we find out that Lord Leo Tyrell isn't doing his job, the lords are in like almost open revolt. Like they're getting there. They're not paying taxes. They stop paying their taxes. They're not paying reparations. This is the perfect time to strike. If you were going to come across, do another Blackfyre, this is it. This is your moment. Which I'm very excited about. For no reason. Don't worry about it. It's not relevant.
Isn't episode 1 also the episode where Enzo goes to talk to Mara? And Simon.
That was episode 2.
Samuel, episode 2. They all blur together now.
Honestly, because they all kind of happen in the same day. So it's just like one huge extended episode. But it seems like spending so long on one day would like kind of drag out. But I feel like it's been really important because a lot has moved forward in terms of like characters. Because, at a certain point as well, there's only so long you can be, you killed my god's father, I'm mad at you. You can only do that for
You've
so
got to
long.
have the time to, it's been nice because all of us have had the time to actually go because some of us have been apart for ages. Like, you and I have never had scenes together.
No.
Ever. I think Don and I had some back when you were still playing Oliver, but that was for 2 or 3 episodes before he went back to Greenmont. And I'm not sure if Tom and I have ever had scenes together, ever. So it's nice us all being back in one place and actually having the time to dive into that. Because like you said, so many of our characters, like Miri's an adult now. She was a child when we last saw her. That's a huge change and a lot to figure out about who she is now.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's with the time skip, we've all kind of come into it with basically new characters. We know they're not for some of us, but they've changed so much over the 5 years that you've got to learn them again like you do a new character, which has been a very interesting thing to explore, I think. So I think that basically sums up episode 1. Any questions about episode 1 in chat? But as we said, they kind of all sort of smush into one mega.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The last 3 series, I couldn't tell you what episode what happened in. They're just like a big watercolor collage.
You fucking casual, V. God, ugh.
To be fair, most of those seasons were me trying to stop Alistair doing the stupid,
But hey, if you're watching the show and you also get things mixed up, we do have a handy dandy wiki, which I've been working on quite a bit, as has Dawn, as has Sam and Charlie. A couple of folks have been doing some good work on that wiki, so check it out. We've got character lists, we've got episode lists, we've got houses, we've got locations, we got fiction that we've all written because we can't leave this game alone in our brains. So check out the wiki. There it is in chat. All right, episode 2. So because I haven't actually watched it recently, this is going off the dome. This is Miria had the baby dumped on her, and she's like plopping the baby in front of lords going, there you go, greet the baby, until the Danes show up, and who we colloquially know as Auntie Dane, who is Oliver's sister, and she arrives with her husband. And Miria is like, oh my god, Auntie Dane, it's so nice to see you. She's like, oh my god, Miria. And they have a really lovely chat. And Miria says, the real reason why we're here is I'm going to get married. And Auntie Dane's like, oh, to who? And she's like, Ellery Peak. And she's like, okay, I'm happy for you. Are you happy? And so they have this conversation, and it turns into an intrigue. Unfortunately, at the time, Sam was really tired. I was being melted because it was like 38. No, it wasn't 38. That was ridiculous. It was like 30 plus Celsius, and my brain had just like leaked out of my ears. So we didn't actually role play that scene a whole much, but we did an intrigue, and I charmed Auntie Dane, which means the next time I get to speak to her, to convince or persuade her of something or lie to her, I get a bonus dice. So I get a keep die, not a bonus die. It's plus 1d. So that's a real. She's like, Miria's laying the foundations for calling in favors later on, and this is something that we will see. I think going through this season, like Miria is a lot more of a political player now. Like, so she's like charming and talking to people, and when she's not threatening them. Because we've only really seen her talk to Mara, Samuel, and Auntie Dane at this point, and Enzo.
Susie, threats could also be politics, okay?
Oh, they are. The politics of you keep yourself in fucking line or you're done.
Not gonna lie, some of those Westerosi lords need a little bit of a threatening from a badass lady.
Yes, the lords.
To get them to get their shit in line. You already kicked. This is the episode that you kick Mara into action and set events forward. So
well, yeah. So James, do you know what? Get out. Then we cut to Enzo, who is tottering around like the informal alley of steel as he's trying to find the armor for Miria. He goes up to Kiri, and she's really busy. You know, there's people looking at stuff. She hasn't got prices listed anywhere. And he's like, yo, Kiri. And she's like, yo, now then, with Sam's York accent, which is pretty good, actually. And Enzo asks her if she can make a set of scale mail, which is, you know, not for a full-size, like, human dude, but, you know, a smaller person that's definitely not Miria-sized. If you could make that, that would be great. And she's like, I can. I don't know how to make scale. I don't have the materials for it, so it's going to be expensive, like 3 gold dragons. And then Enzo's like, yeah, fine, 3 gold dragons, that's nothing. Inwardly, I'm like, 3 fucking gold dragons? Carrie, what are you doing? And then as he sort of walks away after he's just given the money to Carrie and she shuts up his shop, there's a dude there that's like hawking goods. Like he's just stood in the street with like a set of scale mail over his arm, and like, hey, heard you want some scale mail, can do it for you for like 2 groats. I can't remember how much it was.
50 silver.
50 silver. 2 groats is just my go-to.
Sure it wasn't
now.
A couple of stars.
Oh, don't. Maybe some moons.
No, half moons.
So Enzo's like, hang on, let me check out this armor with all my military knowledge. I'll see if it's any decent. He has no fucking clue what he's looking at. So he's like, yeah, seems all right.
I mean, I rolled pretty decently. It was all right. To my eye, it was fine.
Hang on, I'm going to close my window because someone is using like power tools outside and it's very loud.
Well, we were wondering what that was. As long as you weren't torturing someone, that's fine.
It's not Saturday. So anyway, Enzo buys this set of scale mail, and then goes back to Kiri. Goes, hey, I want my money back. You're not needed anymore. And then it doesn't take the money.
Helmet.
Yeah, he still needs the helmet.
Need the helmet. Yeah.
Doesn't take. He still pays her 2 gold for a fucking helmet, but nonetheless secures the armor.
No, I think we have to repay that. Miria pays her 2 gold for the fucking helmet.
True. Yeah. Sorry. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
So we get like an insight here as to how, as like the economy of the tourney's going. There's clearly some undercutting going and some overcharging going. Because as later on, as Enzo goes, oh yeah, 2 gold to Kiri and 50 silver to this dude. Miri's like, you paid 2 gold to Kiri for a helmet? You what? Like even Miria knows that Enzo got ripped off.
It wasn't quite like that. I didn't go into too much detail. I just said for your scale mail and the helmet, it was 2.5.
That's right. Yeah.
50 silver. I didn't go into details.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I want that money back. You know, I just want that money. So yeah, let's keep it vague. Keep it vague.
Yes. Always where money is concerned, keep it vague.
Yeah.
In Westeros, the IRS, keep it vague.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, or an accountant, don't listen to this advice. But yeah, so even Miria is like, yo, you got ripped off, but at that point she's kind of like, whatever. But yeah, there's something going on there with regards to the merchants. Whether or not we're going to see more of that remains to be seen, or if it's going to spill over into a bigger conflict, who knows. But Kiri seemed to be making a pretty penny at the tourney.
I mean, Kiri just seemed to be there. She didn't really want to be there. She was just there for... And if someone wanted to play ridiculously over the odds for a thing, then, well,
yeah, that's
their kind of thing, isn't it, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she didn't seem like she was there to make money or anything like that.
No, but, you know, she's got that northern laissez-faire attitude.
So, hey, she knows the quality of her work. She knows.
Yeah. You pay good shit for her stuff. All right, and then okay, so after that, I think it was Mara and Samuel, right?
I think
that's
Simon
right.
tried
Yes,
to tail.
Yes,
with Simon in the tent.
Yeah. Well, it's when Miria rocks up, isn't it?
Well, you guys were having a conversation, right, about what's going to happen at the tourney, about putting your best foot forward, about, you know, not super rocking the boat, but being here, trying to make amends.
I think this is also the conversation where we see on screen her actually saying not only is she worried about, you know, not being welcome here,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that she knows Lord John is also at this tournament. She didn't arrive with the Oakheart host, and it's also where we find out neither Mara nor Samwell are staying with their own families' hosts. They have got their own nice little cozy tent way off in the quiet zone, basically.
Found like a nice little copse of trees, like a little bit of shade.
It's not even in like
really nice
with
really
all
nice.
of the other tents, because everyone's, you know, so closely crowded. They've gone a bit out of the way to have somewhere quiet, which doesn't look good when you're a woman in Westeros staying in a tent with a man who isn't your husband.
A married woman staying with a single lord in the same tent, away from everyone else, under the trees. I mean,
not just that. She's staying with her husband's best friend, as far as it was in court, who have been, you know, jaunting off around together, whose husband went to jail for a big horrible crime that he did, and this friend was a co-conspirator who did not go to jail for the big horrible crime that he did. Like, this is political suicide, but yet here are these two young, doe-eyed, idealistic fools sharing this cozy tent.
I'm all for it.
I mean, I think we talked about it, Don, but like Mara and Samuel absolutely are aware of the rumors. They know how this looks. They don't care.
So V, I actually had a question for you about that, because we learned in the second fight part 2 that Mara and Miria have.
We got too carried away. Yeah.
Where we find out in that Mara is really upset about the reputation of being tied to Alistair. And her reputation is ruined because of her husband, but she doesn't care about the reputation of her being a harlot.
No, and I think the thing is that when it comes to Alistair, like going back to like the events at Fox Hollow when that night happened, she didn't know that Alistair was going to do that. And to some degree, she is in a state of shock. She doesn't enter the hall. She just sees all of these guards going in and can't do anything but sit there and scream and cry and hope that he comes back out and tells her what's going on, because she has no idea. And then by the time that he's coming back out, he's running with all of these guards because Oliver's been killed, and they're halfway to Highgarden before he tells her. It's 3 days later that she finally gets him to talk, and it's not that she hasn't asked, he just hasn't told her. And so it's really traumatizing for her to see all that, not know what's happening, have the idea that, you know, she kind of has to stick by her husband, especially after her and Marcia had that long talk that Mara was now Lady Oakheart, and that was a thing they kind of had to accept. And then she hears in the space of a single conversation that her husband has murdered a man that she loved very dearly and considered family, and did so with her father's sword. And now she's kind of trapped there, and she doesn't deal with that grief at all. She grieves for Oliver, but she goes into damage control mode of, what do I do now?
Where is that sword?
Baelor has it.
Baelor has that sword.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Of course, I remember.
Mara goes into full damage control mode, and she doesn't really deal with what Alistair has done. She's just trying to deal with the after effects of it to stay afloat, which is, where she ends up wandering around screaming at Targaryen guards, waving a sword about, demanding to speak. I don't know how she survived that, by the way. So, and then once Alistair goes, and obviously she loses her child that night, the night that he leaves. Over those 5 years that she spends at Old Oak, she locks herself away because she thinks her brother's dead. He has taken everything from her.
Mm-hmm.
Her family won't have her back at Fox Hollow. She doesn't know how they feel about her. She didn't really have any friends. Her brother, as far as she knew, was dead or so far missing she'd never see him again. And so in her mind, and then he took her reputation too, because now she's known as, she is Alistair's wife, as lots of women in Westeros are. They are their husbands' wives. So even at court, she doesn't have kind of the same sway that she used to be able to have, because they whisper about her. And I think to some degree, like, he takes that from her, and all she is left with is Old Oak and the money that she gets from being married to him. Everything she has actually belongs to him. So I think she doesn't like the reputation of being stuck with Alistair, because in that time she realizes just quite what she's lost because of him. And it's very different to her knowingly kind of not caring about her reputation because of Samwell, because that's her choice. Alistair didn't give her the choice when he did what he did. That's not a decision that she made. But at this point,
so at this point, she's using the control she gets to actively torpedo her own reputation rather than have someone else do it. It's not even
to torpedo it, but it's like she can have her reputation torpedoed completely out of her control, and she can be miserable, or she can have this friend that she's got who brought her brother back to her, who's offering her something other than 4 walls at Old Oak, where she's not even really got any responsibility because Lord and Lady Jane are still head of the house. And so in her mind, she's like, I can be happy and have a good time and actually, enjoy my life. Yeah, it will cost me my reputation, but at least that's the cost, the consequence I chose. It's not because somebody else did something that I had no power over and I lost everything. And I think to another degree, she doesn't really care very much for Alistair. She doesn't hate him, but like, he's a problem that's over there somewhere. She doesn't have to worry about that. And every now and then she's like, oh, he's going to be out at some point and I have to deal with that. But, over the course of the 5 years, she's kind of, Samwell has been there longer than Alistair has been there for her. Alistair and Mara were only married a little over a year before he fucked up and got himself locked away. And she's had Samwell by her side for 5 of those. So,
Yeah. And this is all kind of stuff that does come out during the fight round 2.
Oh boy, does it.
And this was, again, another one of those moments where, for me, Maria just took over and she just started talking, and she just
we both
started
blacked out a bit during that,
going after Mara. Like, it was, so the setup to this is Maria, being a spiteful little fucker, is like, oh, Lord John just arrived and Mara's over there, definitely not with him. I'm gonna go ruin her day. So she escorts Lord John, and she puts on this pretense like, oh, your forward camp already arrived, Lord John. This is where they've made their camp. I'll escort you to them. I hope that you weren't separated for a reason and that everything was fine on the road and that you're okay. And she's hitting him with the like concern.
He brings men with him as well. He doesn't go alone.
Oh no, like
it's not like a nice familial, hey, go and see your daughter-in-law.
So the reason why this is because they were like fresh off the horse. So the whole Oakheart retinue had turned up. So Mary just escorts them all because, well, this is where your camp is already set up, Lord John. Like, this is where you and your men can rest. And so Lord John arrives and he says to Mara, this is not where you're staying. You are in Oakheart. You will stay at the Oakheart camp. And Mara's like, I think the fuck not.
I think her words are, I think she, in the end, there's like some pretty exchanges between her and Miria where they're both doing the sisterly thing of like side-eyeing each other without anyone realizing. And yeah, Lord John basically kind of demands that she go back to the Oakheart camp. And I think her words are something along the lines of, I have no intention of going somewhere I don't want to be.
He doesn't demand, he asks, right? And I feel like Lord John gets a rough deal because we kind of see this scene from Mara's perspective. And to Mara, Lord John is, you know, he's the father of the man that ruined her life, and he's part of the fucking patriarchy.
Hate John, though.
No.
She doesn't hate him, but they have a tenuous relationship because, you know, she's been making excuses for 5 years why she hasn't gone to see his son that she's married to, why she doesn't want to be there. And he's nice, but he's not her family.
Yeah. But I think we need to just take a minute here to think of what it's like for Lord John, right? He lost his son, his grandchild, and his daughter-in-law in like the space of a year, right? Yeah. And he has to now listen to talk of his son being a horrible, filthy right breaker who's in jail. And then he has to listen to these rumors about his daughter-in-law who's off cavorting and drinking, and, you know, like, and not only besmirching her name, but the name of House Oakhart, because she is still Mara Oakhart at this point. She is a representative of that house, whether she wants to be or not, whether she wants to be done with the Oakhart family and Alistair, she is still legally and so socially tied to the Oakharts. So everything Mara does is a reflection on the Oakharts, and they have to just sit there and give her money. She's doing all this on their money. And
actually mostly Samuel's money, actually.
Well, mostly Samuel's, but you know, they will be giving Mara like an allowance. And like there's nothing they can do about it. And it's heartbreaking for Lord John. I feel so bad for him.
So do I, and I play Mara.
But Mara is being cruel to that man.
John Oakhart should have tried being less racist. That's all I'm saying. Maybe would have gone a little smoother.
To be fair, he was actually a dick at her wedding, to both her and Oliver.
Yes,
he's not a perfect man, but no, that is true. And I think to some degree, Mara understands that guilt, but it's another thing like Alistair that she just doesn't want to deal with, because there isn't really a middle ground. There is no way that she can do this thing that makes her happy, that doesn't keep her sat in a place she doesn't want to be. And work for the Oakharts. There is no middle ground there because of how society views things.
Yeah.
And yeah, there isn't really anything they can do, because from all of my Googling, it turns out adultery isn't actually illegal in Westeros. It's frowned upon by the faith, and they'll like have a hissy fit about it, but no one can imprison you for it.
Yeah.
No one. So it's not like they can accuse her of adultery to get her brought back.
No.
Short of holding her against her will, there isn't really anything that could be done to stop her,
and that's what we
she
see
wants.
at the end of the intrigue. Lord John asks Mara, he's like, please just put an end to this and come back, like, for the love of God, just fucking...
She makes up some fucking excuse, which is kind of half true. She doesn't like the noise.
She keeps going, oh, it's going to be so noisy over there. It's going to be so noisy. I need my sleep.
That's bullshit excuse. I'm sorry, there's a bullshit No,
I'm not going to lie.
There
are bits of Mara that are basically me, and one of them is nice, quiet places to sleep. But, you know, don't forget, she's also, that year that she spent traveling, they weren't staying at, you know, the keep of the local lord. They were camping on the roadside. They were sleeping in sleepy little hamlets in inns.
Yeah, so but it wasn't like you were roughing it, though, were you? I mean,
not necessarily. We camped. I think me and Don talked about.
Glammed.
There was a stretch.
You glammed.
We glammed. I don't think we had an entourage though for at least some of it, like at the beginning anyway.
Yeah, there's a stretch where we did not.
It's just the two
heartache.
of them.
The hardships.
It's all very wholesome. Don and I have spent way too much time building their backstory to make it even more tragic later.
Imagine how difficult it was for them to camp without an entourage, Tom.
I mean, it wasn't. Mara had to teach Samuel how to cook.
Oh boy,
it's okay. He had to teach her how to ride a horse properly, because after a day she was like, "I'm tired. I'm done."
I genuinely felt sad for John in that entire thing, and in my eyes, he hadn't seen his daughter-in-law for well over a year.
Maybe oh no, he had.
Yes.
She left. Yes, so she's still living at Old Oak. So she goes on the 1-year journey. So in the time skip, pretty much the first year-ish is when she shuts herself away. It's the year after that, her and Samuel go traveling. But in the following years, they only kind of see each other and go off on trips now and then.
Oh, so she
probably actually left. Yeah, she probably left from Old Oak to meet Sam on the road. got way ahead of him, which is why they arrived so early and probably detoured somewhere. But
but yeah, so Lord John leaves really dejected and sad at the end, and Miria kind of sees that and she's like, oh, that kind of sucked a little bit. Oh,
pretty.
But then she sees
Simon.
Mara.
She feels a little bit of regret where she's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
She doesn't feel bad for Mara. She feels bad for Lord John because she used him as a weapon without considering how he would feel. And Maria is then like, oh, that was a really shitty thing to do in the back of her head. But then she sees Mara and it's and it's all fucking gone. And she's like, you.
She calls her out for everything, for the fact that she hasn't seen Alistair. She calls her out. I think at one point she's like, and where did you get those jewels?
She does. Like, she opens up because during the whole intrigue with Lord John, Mara's like, Lord John, you wouldn't want me to cause a scene, would you? I'll fucking scream and stamp my feet. Then she turns to Talia and goes, ooh. Because she does. She hits young Samuel with the ooh eyes and like, don't worry, well, this will be over soon. Don't worry about it, darling. And then turns back to Lord John with like, I'll tantrum.
She was prepared to tantrum.
She was. But Miria saw that and she saw like the big puppy eyes at Samuel. And Miria, like the opening line, I think is like, that's really amazing how you can just turn that on and off like that. Like Miria's like, I fucking see you. I know what you're about. And it just sort of descends into Miria being like, and another fucking thing, and another thing, and while we're fucking at it.
And this is where Miria sets off a chain of events that she is going to hate.
Yeah.
And doesn't know is happening
because Mara hits her with the, I didn't know. I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know until 3 days afterwards. And Miria's like, I don't give a fuck, because even after you knew that, you made the choice. You decided to stick with him and try to pretend it never happened and move on with your life. And to Miria, that's the most upsetting bit of everything that Mara could have done. That Mara went, oh, well, it happened in the past. We'll move on. We'll have a family. Like, even though Mara was trying her best at survival, right? She was trying to do what she thought was best. To Miria, that's the biggest betrayal that she could have done. Because in Miria's mind, if that was Miria's, so say that it was Ellery, right? In a future alternate dimension, it was Ellery that killed or was part of that killed Oliver. Miria would have fucking either tried to kill him herself, although she thinks she would, tried to kill him herself, or would have been, that's it, we're done. Like,
but
goodbye.
I think there is the interesting bit that Mara brings up where she's like, you're not married yet.
Yeah.
You don't yet have the bit where you are tied to this person, and it doesn't matter what you want, the rest of the world expects something of you. And kind of says that, like, you wait till you're married, because you cannot control your husband. It doesn't matter how lovely he is, how much he cares about you. If he's an ambitious young lord, he's going to do shit and he's not going to tell you. Yeah. Which is interesting because Mara doesn't know that Miria's betrothed.
No.
She has no idea that this is a thing. And then later on, there's a scene with Ellery where he is lovely and caring about her going in the tourney, but he says some stuff that kind of echo what Mara was talking about.
Yeah, basically. And I think Miria just like, she's like, fuck off. Like, don't hit me with these excuses. Like, Miria's not having a lick of it. And this is like the anger again. She had like an hour to think about what that's happened the first time. And that it was that kind of thing where you walk away or you're in the shower the next day and you think of another argument. That was basically what happened to Miria. So in this argument point 2, she comes back in with like, okay, it happened, it's in the past, what are you going to do about it? Or what are you going to do? Because right now all you're doing is running away when things get even slightly difficult. And Miria's like, how fucking dare you? And second of all, you've got such immense privilege that you're able to do that. And like, again, it was that thing where Miria couldn't just run away from her problems. Marcia just couldn't run away from her problems. And seeing Mara stood here in all her finery being like, oh, it's a problem for later me, tilts Miria. Like, she's fucking lays into her.
She literally turns around and is like, just do something.
Yeah.
Stop running. Like, even like is almost as I don't care what you do, I'd just rather you be doing something. Which turn out to be dangerous words.
Well, sparing her interaction. But their argument goes on further Miria being like, yeah, you're invited, but you shouldn't have fucking come. Come on. What are you playing at? Like, you're out of the family. Like, this was Miria being like, you are not my sister. Like, you're out of the family. You got invited as a courtesy. Like, neither Marzia nor Miria wrote that invitation. I think we handed that off to Enzo or someone else to write it just as a courtesy. And right at the end, Miria's like, you know, I'd heard many things about the Greenmont women, about their strength and tenacity, and she's like, you're so fucking weak, and gives it like the look up and down, and then turns on her heel and leaves. And Samuel is like, I'm gonna talk to Miria. This is a good conversation.
Samuel sees Mara really upset about the whole thing because like Mara knows this is coming, but it doesn't make it hurt. Like, she expected this. She didn't show up and have this idea that Miria would just be like, hey, big sis. Like, she knew that there was a good chance they would never reconcile, but she kind of has to sit through it. And to some degree, I think almost Miria misses the fact she will stand there and listen to Miria scream at her, regardless of her trying to argue back, is also part of her doing something. This is her doing something. It's just like, I have to face up to the fact my sister hates me, and it means I have to hear her scream. But at least she's done it. She screamed at me, and that is what it is.
So yeah, after the two sisters separate once more, and Simon's been in the tent the whole time listening to this, Samuel's
hiding in our luggage.
Samuel's like, you stay here, Mara. I'm gonna go talk to Miria. And Mara's like, you'll get fucking stabbed.
Not gonna lie, I was absolutely convinced Samuel would come back with a fucking black eye or a knife in his gut. I was just like, I was like, Samuel, you're gonna get yourself killed, and we're only 2 episodes in. There
was like a bit in my mind where I was like, if he starts either trying to apologize or trying to be like, you should listen to your sister, Miria would have socked him. She would have punched him in the face. And I was listening. In the back of my head, I'm like, all right, there's a couple of trigger words here. If he says them, punch in time. But he didn't. Don, what were your thoughts coming into this scene with Miria?
So Samuel is like tangentially involved in this, at least the beginnings of the intrigue. And he watched it all go on because he knows too, like, this is what they agreed to do. They agreed to come here and pull the bandages off the wounds. And Miria absolutely has her right to express her anger. Like, it's legitimate anger, right? But it's hard to listen to. And I think it was hard for him to see Mara try. And knowing that it's a painful conversation for her, and it's a painful conversation for Miria too. But there is this sort of thing with Sam where he's House Tarly, and House Tarly and House Oakhart, while sometimes their interests have been aligned, they're not there's not the same level of history and camaraderie as say between Lord Tarly, Sam's father, and Sir Oliver and House Greenmont. And so like, it's a slightly different political relationship, and Sam is very aware that House Tarly has the best army in the Reach, one of the best armies in the world. It's a significant and powerful force that, despite being on the losing side of Blackfyre, they didn't really suffer. They didn't suffer maybe because they were too big to suffer. So he has, he's aware of his influence. He's aware of what he can offer. And I think, he does there. Like, his idea is, I'm going to go to my go-to move. Where's the nearest apple? I'm going to pick that apple. And then, like, let's have a conversation with Miria, because I don't know Miria. I don't know this woman, this young woman. I think he respects her strength and her resolve, because it's almost impossible not to. But he does think that it's important that she knows that no matter what's happened in the past, it's the future that matters. And we were talking earlier about how there's this, why don't these two characters care about this scandal? Why don't they care about the political ramifications? And I think, like, generationally, young people like to call out the hypocrisy they see in older generations, regardless of whether or not they realize their own hypocrisies. But they do. They like to punch at the hypocrisies of older generations. And I think, at least in Samuel's mind, part of it is like, there's all of these hypocritical things going on. Blackfyre, you've got they're both Targaryens. Like, what is this war really about? And like the Dornish Reacher relationship is, to him, it's just madness. That conflict. And so there's all these bigger problems in the world, and in his mind, like, nobody should care who I spend my time with, and nobody, they might talk about me behind my back, but I'm going to be the Lord of House Tarly. I will control one of the biggest militaries, one of the strongest houses in the world. So what can they really do? Let them talk. Let's deal with the bigger problems. And so he wanted to try to bring that, at least try to bridge that gap with Miria. I don't think he was worried about getting stabbed, but he doesn't know Miria very well yet.
I don't think he knew what like the lion's den he was walking into. But it was a very interesting conversation where he basically said, like, I got your back no matter what happened, and we're gonna, well, I want to build a better future, and I think you do too. And Miria's like, fucking, here we go. Like, a part of her inside was like, fucking, what a wanker, she's in her head, here he comes. But there was something about it that struck her that maybe he was genuine, or at least somebody that because, as we mentioned before, Miria's getting a little bit more canny about how the game works. Like she said in, I think, a later episode, she was a ward at 11. She'd seen the game up close and she was a child. Like, she knows about building allies and shit. And so she stops in her tracks, looks at him dead in the eye and says, red or black? And Samuel's answer.
I'm more of a purple man myself. I think is what I said.
Maybe she's turned into a chopsy little git, isn't she?
A what?
A chopsy.
I love that question, though. I didn't expect that question, but I loved it.
I didn't.
And I think
either.
my answer is the most Samuel answer he could have given.
Yeah, for sure. But it was a good little insight as well, because he didn't immediately go, hold on, the fuck you talking about? Because, as we know, the question red or black around this time period is an extremely charged question. You don't ask people that question because you will offend people or upset people or find out that your best friend was a traitor to the crown or whatever. And the fact that she just came out with it and Samuel was just kind of like, he didn't immediately react negatively to it. Because that's part of why she asked him, right, too. It's like, it was a provocative question to see, like, if he was like, whoa. Yeah. And, I think it's pretty obvious where Miria's allegiances may lie.
You're totally a loyalist, right, Susie?
Yeah,
100%.
Love them. Team Targy all the way.
It hurts you to say that, doesn't it?
To put it in perspective, we have to remember as well, I've said this a few times, Miria was raised by the one-man propaganda machine that was Oliver Ironwood, who was constantly like, fuck the Targaryens, like, his whole life.
I mean, he gave no shits about that either. Like, Mara's wedding tourney, he has Blackfyre colours on his lance in front of a Targaryen princess and just gave no fucks about it. So,
yeah.
Part of that's just me too. Like, I don't think I could play an entirely loyalist character, even Sam. I
mean, Don, we've talked about this behind scenes, and we're trying to figure out where Mara and Samuel stand with various people and things, and it's just like, there's no real good black and white option here.
Well, there isn't. That's the thing, right? There is no black and white.
Shit.
But there's. I mean, especially with Miria's concern, there's pragmatism involved, right? It means to an end. Now, she, as we know on the meta level, because I am the Queen of Dawn, wants to overthrow the Martells, like, fucking do away with the whole Martells. And part of her head is like, well, maybe the Blackfyres can help do that, because Marin Martell is besties with the king. He's not gonna just go, Marin, give up your throne to this young girl, like, that's not gonna happen. So Miria's thinking of alternate ways. I mean, she doesn't know about Blackfyre doing his whole thing. She doesn't have a spy network. But she's certainly aware that there are still she's certainly aware of that sentiment within the Reach and Dawn, and pragmatism. Yeah, they might just be they are literally a different colored dragon, but they might be the vehicle for her to get what she wants, basically.
And in a way, like, she's really following, because that's kind of very similar to the path that Oliver walked. I mean, Oliver got involved with Blackfyre because of deals that were made, and his belief that it would lead to a free Dorne, a Dorne free. And now he could have been wrong. He's probably wrong. It probably would have resulted in a civil war afterwards, but that was his belief, and that was what he pursued. And it's cool to see Miria too, like, start to figure out, like, how am I going to approach the same problem?
Yeah. It turns out very similar way as
I support it. I support it.
And she's probably going to die in a very similar way, let's be honest. But yes, Pope raises an interesting point there in chat, V, when you said about Mara and Tali figuring out where they lie in that spectrum. In argument round 2, Mara did say that her father and brothers died for the right side. And I don't know if that was just like a slip of the tongue on your behalf, or if it was Mara letting slip some tendencies.
Honestly, that was probably more of a slip of my tongue, because as we all know in the meta, Virginia is rubbish with Westerosi politics. Okay. I suck at it. I can never remember who is who or who supports what. I'm really glad that I get to roleplay a lot with Don this season, because Don gets it. Because Don will be like, so there's this house. And I'm like, they're loyalists, right? And he's like, yes. I'm like, okay, good. I remembered something. I don't think that Mara, in terms of her political allegiance, I don't mind saying this, because I think she was been very clear from the beginning with Alistair. She doesn't like war. In her mind, war just breeds war. It's the same reason that she hates stupid 300-year-long house feuds, because all that happens is that every time you can't just bury the fucking hatchet and realize that happened 100 years ago and not to you, it just breeds another reason to hate this person that just breeds war, and it goes on and on and on. The idea that having a war to bring about peace just isn't something that in her mind makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Like, she understands from a practical point of view why war brings about peace for a while, but she knows it doesn't last. And she's like, it's been proof. The Blackfyre rebellion happened. And theoretically, if the Targaryens were right by winning, there should be peace. Except her brothers are dead. Her father died as a result of an injury from the rebellion. And now there's a second rebellion because rumors started back at Highgarden way back when, after what's his face from the Vale exploded in a load of silver coins. So see, this is proof. I can't even remember what that dude's name was. What's his face? That lord from the Vale. So, you know, if it were up to her, she wouldn't pick a side. But I think when it'll come down to where because everyone's going to have to pick a side eventually. There is no getting out of that unless, you know, you've got some pretty good walls to hide behind and wait till it's all over, or do a Tywin Lannister and wait around long enough to find out who's winning and back them.
Yeah.
But it's gonna depend heavily on who can get her what she wants in a way that makes sense to her, in a way that is which one of these people is less likely to breed war the next time around. And to some degree, what Samuel wants to support, because the two of them are, as we find out a little bit later in the next episode, begin to get a bit more tied to each other. So that's a decision that she knows they, not at this point that they might have to come to in that moment, but certainly after that episode, it became a conversation between me and Don of like, where do they go now? Because this is beginning to converge. But yeah, Mara doesn't really like either, although I think at this point she probably favors the Targaryens, purely because, you know, she offered her father's sword to Baelor in the hopes that it got a fair trial, which you can't really blame her for. She did ask for a fair trial, not for Alistair to get any favor. So, but they are the crown. And right now she's at a tournament where the prince is. So she kind of has to sway that way, because everyone around her, you know, Marcia is loyal to Maekar, and her being a Blackfyre supporter openly isn't gonna make her any friends yet.
Yeah, no, for sure.
She's very much stuck in the middle now. I think a lot will happen in the next episode to figure out where she lies with that.
Absolutely. Tom, what's Enzo's thoughts? Red or black, Tom?
Oh, it's all to do, Westerosi lords, this and that. I mean, don't get involved.
Cop out.
Don't get involved. Play both sides.
Well, and this is skipping ahead because we're just going to do a mishmash as if all 3 episodes were one episode. We do see Enzo pumping Simon for information. What was that about, Tom?
I mean, it's Simon, and Simon tends to gather information, and Enzo realizes that there are a lot of lords around this tourney, and that he's probably going to be going around keeping his ears close to the ground to try and find out information. And Enzo had a favor, that Simon owed him, and he thought, well, I'm going to use this to my advantage and see what he comes up with. Information is very important. Information is very powerful, and keeping up to date on what's happening and around the tournament between, different houses and stuff like that could be very beneficial.
To who, though?
To Enzo.
Simon wasn't the only one that you were poking for information.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
I mean, Mara misses out because she passes out drunk, but.
Yeah. So Enzo, for the past 5 years, have essentially heard the story from one point of view, right? The Greenmont point of view. And Enzo likes to get a complete picture, and he realizes not every story it's just not one point of view. There are always at least 2. And he realizes that Mara and Samuel are going to be around here, and he knows so little about them. And he doesn't like not knowing about them. And there's another chance to make friends and stuff like that. So he goes over to, his idea was to essentially just get a complete picture of what happened. And, maybe if you could make friends and that's even better. Great, rock on. And he got a little more than that, which was great. It's all important information to keep stocked and locked up, for a rainy day should he need it. Enzo has a different type of, I don't want to say power, but it's different. Everyone else is a lord and a lady, and they have a title, and that's where their power comes from. The title, their station in life. Enzo doesn't have that. Enzo has his name and his fame, which is a different type of power. He can't go around and order, soldiers and say, right, get that person, arrest that person. But he can make friends and use his name for the lord who can do that. And that's how he has to play the power game around how going around the tournaments and stuff. He's a name, and it's just, information is useful, very, very useful. And he got some information on Samuel, essentially reasoning why he did everything through love. And that's a very kind of important piece of information to remember, particularly because he said Alistair as well.
And he also he's got Mara asleep on his lap as well.
Right. I mean, I think, see, the thing is, right, I'll tell you this, because this is just what he's thinking. He kind of guessed. It's not hard to guess that Samuel was in love with Mara. All the gifts, all this going around. He's happy around her. Big smile. He's seen it before. And in his mind, he was thinking, oh, what if Mara doesn't feel the same way? So he still hasn't had that confirmation yet. So in his mind, he's still thinking, well, maybe if she doesn't feel this way about him, maybe something can be happening there. So he hasn't got confirmation of that. I think soon, in a couple of episodes, he might have confirmation of that.
I don't know what you're talking about. There are no secrets that might potentially come out and reveal anything.
But it was essentially just to get a complete view of what happened, because that way it's more information for him to digest and more information for him to use and,
profit off of.
He will outlive us all.
I'm not going to say that, but information is very valuable. And it can get him out of the shit, because again, he doesn't have a title to hide around. If a lord wants him executed, a lord can get him executed. So he hasn't got a title. So it's kind of like a defense mechanism, really. And
it almost acts as a shield, right? Because your power isn't as direct as, perhaps like Samuel's power or Lord John's power, where they have power and exactly what the extent of that is. People just would assume that Enzo doesn't have power, he's just famous. But in being famous, there's a lot of influence you can exact without people even really realizing.
People who are around famous people, they tend to get awestruck. They tend to kind of like, I don't know how to really put it, but it's like, oh my God, this is a famous person. I know this person, and you want them to like you, right? Because if that famous person likes you, then by effect, you're kind of semi-famous as well, right? And Enzo tries to use that to the best of his ability, because that's where his power comes from. So yeah, that's kind of like the whole reason behind it, really, just to get some information and just have some fun. Enzo likes fun, a lot of fun.
I enjoyed that conversation a lot too. In like, there was the whole card scene before it where they played cards and then they were drinking, and like the night went on, and it started as very friendly conversation. It ended friendly too. What I really liked about it was like, this was a very like laid back, believable, a few people making friends for the first time in this tournament environment, but both of them were like trying to get things out of each other at the same time. They were both playing two different versions of the same game. But without it being like, here's my sword, like, well, I mean, his sword was over there, but like, there weren't daggers out, right?
Yeah.
There was no threat involved. It was just like, okay, well, while we're talking, what's the real rub? What's the real story?
The most innocent game of intrigue we've ever seen on the show.
I mean, it was just like two people really getting to know each other for the first time. Just
I would contest that it was innocent, V. It was not innocent
by
at all.
comparison of every other intrigue we've ever seen.
I don't know. Look,
it was one of the most pleasant intrigues that we've ever had, but both of them were mining each other for information. And then Samuel's like, hey, so what if I told you that maybe there's a theory, a suggestion, a whisper that someone might die at this tourney? What would you do about that?
Yeah,
maybe, but I won't tell you
who. I so badly want to know. But I've got to say, it was a great intrigue for Mara to be in. She was asleep. It's exactly the kind of intrigue that I myself would like to be in.
Top 10 intrigue.
A top 10 intrigue, drunk and asleep.
I mean, I still would like to have an actual conversation with Mara and Enzo.
Oh, I would. Enzo is fun.
Well, luckily for you two, you're both going to be at the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a very brief conversation when you talk to Samuel in episode 3.
I mean, so are we shooting off to episode 3 now?
Well, just quickly, Pope asks, will we ever find out what Samuel wrote on that paper?
I mean, probably. I think it's Chekhov's paper at this point. It's Chekhov's letter. So I'm sure we'll find out at some point.
Well, I think I messaged you after the showdown, and I was just like, I really wanted to read it, but it didn't feel right to read it then and there. It didn't feel satisfying, and it's things like that where like they're right in front of your face, and I really want to just rip the paper and be like, what's on it? But I know that's no fun for anybody, including Don or I. So I think you messaged me and you were just like, oh, it's narratively somewhere where Mara can find it if you change your mind. Yeah. I'm like, don't do this to me.
Here's the carrot. There's the carrot.
He left it in his pants or something. Yeah, it'll just keep showing up like in random places.
It's the most well-traveled ball of paper in all of Westeros. It turns up in the Summer Isles.
I loved the moment though where Mara's like, oh, is this yours? And he's like, mm-hmm. She's like, do you want it? And she's holding it out to him, and he's just standing there like, yes.
But he does that thing. He's like, no, but yeah, but you can just throw it. I'll take it.
But then doesn't take it. She has to kind of wave it at him as if to be like, there's a thing you do after you say you want the thing.
But yeah, that was a very interesting little scene there. And I think that episode ends with Miria working out some Angie with doing some drills with the spear. And Enzo is like, you need to fucking calm your tits, kid, because you are gonna blow everything. If you're just gonna be so angry all the time, you need to just like chill. And Miria's like, oh, you're right. I hate it. What do I have to do? You know, like if I see her fucking face again, how do I just not stab her in it? And Enzo's like, well, that's for you to figure out. You know, you got to play the game. You got to be a nice, sweet Westerosi lady. And she sweeps him off her feet with a spear, points at his neck and goes, I'm not a Westerosi lady.
What I loved about that is it gave me real Aya and Syrio Forel vibes at the beginning, where she's like, but I'm doing this. And he's like, yeah, but you're doing it wrong. And she's like, but this is the thing I want to do. And he's like, yeah, but not like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that episode ends with Samuel putting Mara to bed, actually. And she reaches out and grabs his hand and says that she knows what she wants.
Yes. But yeah, I think that was those two episode endings are pretty cool because we see like Miria taking on board some advice, but then also being like, nah. And then Mara finally sort of making a decision, right? Finally doing something. And we see the girls of House Greenmont
trying to deal with this shit.
Plans into motion and trying to deal with shit. Which will bring us swiftly onto episode 3, which was only last week, but is all a blur to me now. Episode 3.
It opened with, I'm pretty sure Mara and Mara just waking up from that nightmare.
Yeah.
And finally making a decision.
Yeah, so I wrote a fic after that show. And to briefly talk about it, although it didn't happen on screen, Mara has this nightmare where she, like you do when you're having dreams and nightmares, you don't really realize that the logic is all off.
Mm-hmm.
And she dreams that she's in this darkness, and then there's these cell bars, and she sees Alistair's face, and he has these keys, and she's just screaming at him. You know, she doesn't deserve to be here. He's the one in here. She's in a dream. She has no idea what's happening. And then eventually she lets herself out, and she wakes up and realizes that she's been piled high with these furs because Samuel, bless him, has just thrown everything on her so she doesn't get cold, even though it's the middle of the day. And she wakes up to him kind of also half asleep on the floor with his sword across his lap, of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this very awkward waking up moment where they both realize they got drunk in the middle of the day and they have no idea what time it is. It's like one of those naps where you wake up and you're like, what year is it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we get the scene as well of Samuel with this decanter like shh, like it's a fucking shampoo advert.
Yeah, and Mara goes to reach out as if he's going to offer her some, and he just completely forgets that, you know, she too has been drinking and has just woken up.
Do you know what I heard in the back of my head? The fucking Diet Coke advert. So Mara looks across and there's Samuel with his shirt open, throwing the water.
I mean, it's not
himself.
like Mara hasn't seen it before.
It's just da 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 da.
There's a whole fic about that. It's mostly safe for work. And Mara kind of sits there, and she finally, between Miria screaming at her to just do something, and this horrible dream where she sees her husband's face, bearing in mind that we discover, I think, between this scene and last episode, that her and Samuel don't even talk about him. They don't even use his name. It's just him. It'll come out occasionally, but it's a thing that they just don't talk about. Unless they're drunk, apparently. And she basically comes out and is like, well, I guess I kind of know what I've wanted for a while. And it's not to be married to him. Which I don't think is a surprise to Samuel at the fact that she no longer wants to be married to Alistair. That's been made very clear.
Mm-hmm.
But the two of them have been skirting around the elephant in the room for 5 fucking years. They shared a night with Alistair there as well. And then they've become these really close friends who have stayed together and traveled together, and they've never really talked about it because it involves Alistair, so it goes on the do not conversation list. And she finally kind of has to admit that she is in love with Samwell. That's, you know, she's been running from this as well as everything else, and she basically says, I don't want to be married to Alistair anymore. We could get married. We have shared all this time. We think the same way. We have the same ideals. You know, they got drunk on the boat that one night, and they had this whole, as you do when you're drunk, you start talking about what the world could be like. And, you know, she kind of basically says, why don't you marry me?
I love the Samwell's like, yeah, not right now. Yeah, really,
Yeah,
not right now.
yeah,
Not
no.
right now. This is the first. In my opinion, this is like one of the first times I've seen Samwell not be, kind of him thinking, oh, this is really bad idea, and kind of like taking, I suppose in a sense, charge, kinda in the sense of like, yeah, we really shouldn't do this now. This is for after the tourney. Let's just get through this tourney, please.
Yeah, that's definitely how I read it when the scene was playing out. And I initially thought that he was like softly rejecting her, being like, yo, Mara, this is really sweet, but like...
To be fair, I did have to message Don afterwards to clarify what was kind of happening in that scene, because I know that like there was a lot going on in that episode as well. So,
and I didn't want to play it, like I didn't want to make it too obvious either. Like me as the player, that's just me as a human being. Like that's just how I am. I don't know why I am this way, but I am. But, you know, for Sam, you know, he's changed a lot in the last 4 years. You know, if Mara had pitched him that question 4 years ago when they were down in the Arbor, he probably would have responded very differently. But over the past 4 years, for the first time in his life, he's taking his responsibilities a little more seriously. He is actually like, you know, he was a knight before, but he had never really fought. Even in the massacre, even in Fox Hollow and in Vulture's Roost, Samwell was only involved by standing in the back. Like that was, you know, that's where he was. And so things have, a lot's changed for him, and he is torn too. He's not the best decision maker, but it's a very complicated situation. And so, you know, he doesn't know the answer. He doesn't know, you know, what's the right way to do this. And even by the end of the episode, it's not like he figures it out over the course of the episode. But you know, he wasn't expecting that either, you know, because like Virginia said, they hadn't really talked about it. You know, they'd skirted around, especially Samwell. Anytime Alistair's mentioned, he clams up immediately, like he just shuts down. So yeah, he wasn't expecting it. And I like playing this sort of like, you know, for somebody who is as confident as he is, his sort of like when he's caught, like his awkwardness and his deer in the headlights come out a little bit.
There's a whole thing where she kind of asks him like, are you saying yes, or like what's happening here? And he kind of tells her like, well, you know, he kind of admits like, well, I guess this is kind of a thing that's been happening, but then there's no real confirmation. But I think Mara doesn't just wake up and decide to tell him just because she's had a bad dream. Because she also knows she could have told him this back in the Arbor on any of their travels, and it would have been great because the real world didn't exist. But instead she's like, if I ask him here in the middle of this fucking tourney where everything is terrible and that's what he wants to do, I know it's not some fucking pipe dream that we've dreamed up because we're drunk on a ship.
Oh, you're drunk in a tent.
Yeah. But, you know, it's not a ship. She's drunk in a tent surrounded by a bunch of people.
I mean, let's be honest. Mara, not the greatest decision maker in all of Westeros. Like,
no, which is why they are going to be a wonderful couple and nothing terrible could ever possibly happen.
Happy ever after.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I also like how the response, especially how I read it, was kind of like a lukewarm, like Tom said, not right now. Like, this is not the time, neither place nor venue to be doing this. Mara's immediately like, sweet, I will get the wedding dress ready. Let me call the Septon. Let's go.
Right? What Septon? Mara doesn't like the new gods.
Oh my god.
But do you know what I mean?
Oh, like
Samuel's like, I don't know. I do like you, Mara. I don't know. And Mara's like, I've got the chapel. I've got bridesmaids. I can get the florist at a minute's notice. Let's go.
Can go. Let's do this. Let's do this now. Samuel, like, evade.
Not at the tourney where everyone wants to kill us, please.
So yeah, that was certainly a thing, and that's definitely not going to come back to bite them in the arse later. This secret relationship. I mean, secret relationship, because come on.
Technically, they didn't actually have an affair in that 5 years. So
technically, doesn't.
Technically.
Doesn't.
One thing we know about Westeros, it doesn't fucking matter what the truth is. It's what people think. So
yeah, but. Yeah, like we said, adultery isn't illegal, so
it's not
just their opinion.
Yeah,
it's not good for your social status, though, is it?
Which is definitely not going to be a problem at the ball.
So...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at this point, neither is anything related to Mara.
Do you know what we need to do? We need to get a couple of gins into Sam before next week, so we can get the full bitchy ball experience, while like the lords and ladies are there with their fans being like, have you seen her fucking dress?
Sassy Sam. Love it.
Thing is, Don and I both know this because we talked about this before the season started and said like part of their thing of showing up is like, they stick together and they stay together because they're both they're back at this traumatic place for them both, and they're trying to deal with this. But also there is the fact that like they are wearing really fucking fancy clothes because it's their version of armor. It's just like, if we just go in and look like we don't give a shit, then nobody can fucking say anything and it doesn't matter to us. And it's like the biggest fucking lie. The more and more fancy their dress gets, the more and more nervous they are about whatever they're doing, because it's pretty fancy to start with, and then they're going to this ball and
yeah, for sure. I think that's echoed in a couple of other characters too, because I know Miria's outfit is definitely like I gotta fucking do something big today.
But the outfits, though, can we just talk for a second about how they are doing what the show did well? And
before we talk about the rest of the episode, let's talk about the outfits.
Miria's fucking outfit with the silken like sleeves with the vulture wings. So one thing that I loved about the show that they did on TV was how all the costumes always related to stuff. So it was like, when Marjorie and Joffrey marry, his antler crown has got rose thorns weaved in it, symbolizing her hold over him. How the fashion changes when Cersei becomes less powerful and Marjorie rises. And
Sansa's wedding dress to Tyrion has a wolf being chased by lions embroidered on it and stuff like that. Like, it's like, so we took a little bit of that into our fashions for the show. So Miria's dress is like this it's very Dornish style, black low neck and silks and like taffeta, so it's sort of kind of floaty. She's got a lot of gold. Black and gold is like her thing. It's got forget-me-nots in gold embroidered up the skirts, so it's like where she's walking, they swish around her feet. And then, like Virginia says, she has these cape sleeves. So a cape sleeve is like a sleeve, a long full-length sleeve that comes from the shoulder and it's split like a cape. So when she walks, or where the air picks up, it sort of trails behind her, and it's embroidered with feathers to look like dark wings behind her, because Vulture Queen. And she also has a necklace too, which is vulture talons in gold holding a silver heart, which I figured out is a replica of the locket she gave to Oliver, because Miria doesn't know where that is at present. So she had another one made to put in there to represent, everybody that should have been there that day that couldn't been. So Miria's outfit is like, I am fucking here to slay. I am the queen. You just don't know it yet, is her outfit.
What I really like, though, is the fact that, like, we see her at the very beginning of the season, not this season, but the first season. And she is, a lady.
Yeah.
She is used to her finery and her dresses and all the proper graces. And then we see her, like, struggle as she loses that. As she has her hair cut and has to wear clothes that aren't as nice and fancy. And she kind of becomes comfortable in that almost.
Yeah.
And now we see her come, I think it's at the end of the third season, there's a lot of talk of like, well, I'm not just going to go back and sit and be pretty. And now we see her season 4, and she's really embracing this, I'm going to be a lady of the house and I'm going to be fucking badass about it.
Yeah.
It's like such a mixing of the two things.
And at the beginning of season 4 too, as she rides down to the tourney ground, she's wearing simple clothing. She's wearing traveling gear. She's not wearing finery to travel in, because she's pragmatic. And she knows how to dress for the occasion is hopefully what I'm trying to get across with her. You know, kind of like Arya, right? Like Arya, very pragmatic in all her sort of things. So she dresses to fit in the situation, or she like, it's that kind of deal. Rest of the outfits, however, can we talk a second about Samuel and his outfit? Because, oh my God.
It was amazing.
So I think, I don't know when it happened, but I think it was probably between episode 2 and episode 3. I decided, as I know, it was when I was writing the Wikia article about Sam, and I was kind of like fleshing out his life a little bit more than I had previously. I decided that he, like, I think he probably started the nickname himself and then like got his buddies to spread it around. But he's, you know, his nickname is the Golden Bear of Horn Hill, and like he fully embraces that. So he's dressed, I think he has like these like super nice black military shoes that are shined, polished very, very well. And he has these like black pants, and he's got like a silk beige short sleeve vest, and then like a golden tunic underneath that that's also silk, and it's all embroidered with some of the images of House Tarly. So there's arrows and bows and bears, and he's got a forest green like shoulder cape, like a half cape that like drapes down over his shoulder down to just above his knees. And he's got like this fancy forest green hat with the brims that kind of like turn upward, almost like a sailor's hat almost, but nicer. And then he's got the golden mask, like, because he thought that they were going to try to go inconspicuously to this ball.
But nobody else is wearing a mask.
He's the only one. No one else is wearing a mask, just him. So he's got a half mask. It's like nose up of a golden bear. It's like beautifully etched. And then he's got like this ornamental decorative rapier at his hip that has like this golden hilt that is, you know, kind of carved and shaped to look like twisting branches. And that's, you know, that's kind of how he's just sweeping in.
I will say, upon that description, when you told Charlie, she sent me a message going, he brought a fucking sword.
Susie, I saw your face. I saw your face when Don was given the description on screen, and it was...
I'm just saying, there's a certain level of balls into bringing a weapon into a house that you know you're not supposed to be in, and also where you participated in a big murder.
It's ornamental, though. Ornamental weapons are not unheard of.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
In his mind, it's a prop, you know, but in my mind, there are like little things and again, I don't know why I am the way that I am, but like there's little things, like I knew what I was doing when I gave him a sword.
Oh, yeah.
Back in episode 1, during his conversation with Marcia, I knew what I was doing when he said, "Thank you for your hospitality." There were like little things, you know?
I remember as well, because Charlie messaged me going, did he just she's gonna kill you IRL, done. But yes, and then speaking of fancy boys, we had Enzo.
Biggest hat ever. Big hat, sexy pirate. That's pretty much all you need to know.
Thigh-high boots, right? That's
always
that's the key.
High. Always thigh-high boots. Yeah.
Big hat, sexy pirate.
Enzo
style. That should be your video for Flashfire. That's all you need to know. Big hat, sexy pirate, Enzo style.
Done.
That's what's on the business card.
Yeah. What else do you need?
Didn't Sam call it a social distancing hat?
Social distance. Because it's so big. It's like one of those, you know, like Barbossa's hats from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's very much like that, but bigger.
Didn't it have all of the feathers as well?
It's like,
if I remember
got all
rightly.
feathers, loads of feathers in it.
Is it like one of those big floppy Instagram girl summer hats?
I don't know what that hat is.
Just nod and say yes.
Yes.
It is, Tom.
Yes. Absolutely.
Enzo, if this was modern day, right? Modern AU, because we're at that stage with this fucking show now. Enzo is an Instagram influencer.
He really,
It's all of like the soft light, the golden hour lighting.
Yeah.
And the
100%.
soft filters.
He's like the guy that's responsible for destroying the tulip beds in the Netherlands, right? Just to wade in to take a picture of him. Like,
Yeah. I feel like I need a lot of tulip leaves blowing in the wind. So rip up that field, put them in front of this giant fan, and just let it go while you're taking pictures. He would do that. 100%.
He's also that person that like posts a selfie that they're on the beach, and like you've seen the one where it's some dude taking a picture of his brother, and he's just like emptied a load of sand onto the grass and put a towel down. He's laying there pretending, and he's like, "The fuck is my brother doing?" That's Enzo. It's just like, if I can't get a good picture, I'll make one.
It's all about the image. All about the image.
Yeah. So Enzo is making a statement with his clothing. But speaking of making statements with their clothing, Mara.
Your mirror is showing,
I know.
Susie.
It just came out. I'm telling you, man, she takes over.
So Mara's entire outfit was inspired by the fact that I asked Don for a fic that I was writing if Samuel had ever bought Mara gifts, and that's where this necklace came up, that he bought her this very expensive emerald and onyx necklace. So she has, and I mean, it's not a delicate little thing. It's a statement piece of jewelry. She probably shouldn't even be wearing it here because she's probably dressed higher than the station that she is occupying in that sense, in terms of wealth. But so she's got this beautiful jeweled necklace, and she has this dress that she bought while she was in the Arbor. She had made for her because she's fucking extra. She had the dress made to match the necklace. So it's in the same deep foresty emerald green with all of this silver embroidery, and what we've seen is a shift in her fashion. So she used to wear these very, very Dornish style, but with richer fabrics and embroidery, of these kind of high collared dresses with, you know, lower necklines because her mother was Dornish. She learned from the best. But we with lots of family embroidery. So we see her in season 1, still with lots of forget-me-nots and stuff like that embroidered on her dresses, as well as oak leaves from Alice's house. She's completely abandoned kind of high collars, except for when she's been at Old Oak, because that's what she has there. But she no longer wears oak leaves in her embroidery on her dresses. It's just non-existent from her wardrobe now. She doesn't wear her husband's house the way that she used to. And instead this dress is covered in flowers from the Arbor and vines, and it's very symbolic of that trip that they took, in that this dress doesn't tie her to a house, which is what a lot of people are going to be wearing. Even Miria has kind of politically tied herself to something in her outfit, and Samuel has as well, because his is all embroidered with stuff from Horn Hill, and his Mara not really displaying any house colors. The closest thing she has to that is the fact that she wears the white deerskin cape that Samuel gives her, that's got forget-me-nots on.
Which I'm sure is going to survive the night and not get ruined.
There's no wine going to be poured over that at all. But you know, she's dressed very nicely. She's her hair done very nicely, but she also has this green kind of traveling cloak that she's put over the top, because, you know, she still has to walk from one end of the 20 thing to the hall. And in some ways, I think she understands almost that she is dressed too well for the fact that A, she's not meant to be here, and B, the fact that she is a married woman who's been going around having lots of fun, and clearly no respectable Westerosi lady would buy herself jewels like that. It would be seen as very vain and conceited to purchase that for yourself. And now she's showing up. And, you know, House Tarly are a very wealthy house. And Don and I have spoken, and Samuel hasn't really spared any expense, I don't think, on a lot of their trips. What was it? Aggressively throws away money is what you said to me.
It's his best way. Like, it's his way of saying, screw you, Dad. You know,
it's such a teenage rebellion thing, right?
But he's always done it too, since he was very young. And he, a lot of times, you know, he would purposefully take money for one purpose and reappropriate it for another. So like, I need new clothes, I need this or that, and then he would give it to somebody else or give gifts to people. I mean, like, he's kind of like, he's done that in his entire life, and not just with Mara, but most recently he's probably upped how much money he's spending, for sure.
Probably. Hey, the thing is, now I have a question. Now I have a question for Don. So Samuel is very good at reappropriating money. What did he tell his father that money was for, because that would not have been a cheap necklace to either buy or have made. Like, what did he tell his father that money was for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't thought of that before, but off the top of my head, we'll say that he needed we'll say that he lost his sword.
His castle forged greatsword.
His castle forged greatsword, Morning Glory, and he could just get another, but he needed I
had the same reaction Susie when Don told me.
He wanted one that was exactly the same, like literally identical. And it was specially made before, so it has to be specially made again. It's going to be a very expensive process.
So he just basically fast talked his dad into the money, right? Like,
and
Dad,
he's done it his entire life. That's right. Yeah, he's done it his entire life.
Oh my God. All right. Well, before I start having a fucking conniption about these privileged fucking babies and the useless spending of money, the next scene in the episode after Mara and Samuel was Miria going to speak to Ellery, and she brought him a little gift. It wasn't her official favor. That will be for the day of the tourney when she presents it publicly. But she made him a braided cord for his gauntlet that she said was, so superstition says that it will help a knight's aim be truer. It will help him in the tournament. It's like a little gift. And as she's sort of faffing, she's trying to work up the courage to tell him that she's going to enter the tourney, because much like Mara, in the back of her head, she was like, well, I could just not tell him and that'd be fine. But I think Miria is definitely of the school of like, if I'm going to do stuff and I'm going to be marrying this guy, then we need to keep it 100 with each other, right? She's going to make the same mistake that Mara did, right? Let's be honest all the time, Alistair. Like, let's not lie to each other. But at least for her part, Miria knows that she is trying her best because she genuinely does care for Ellery. In this time skip, they've gotten to know each other and gotten to care for each other. And so Miria's like, yeah, so I'm going to enter the tourney. And Ellery just starts laughing. And she's just like, what are you laughing for? I'm entering the tourney. And he's like, oh, you're serious? And she's like, yes. And he's like, well, you can't. And she's like, who says I can't? And he's like, well, hundreds of years of tradition and chivalry. And she's like, fuck tradition and chivalry. And he's like, Miria, please. Are you going to enter the joust? She's like, no, I'm not going to enter the joust. I'll die. I'm going to enter the melee where all the people fight in a big field. And he's like, you're going to do what? Like, he's actually pretty cool and collected with it. And he's choosing his words carefully as he's speaking to her.
I think he knows he fucks up when he's like, well, I thought when we got married, things would settle down. And I can imagine the look that Miria gives him, which is like, you imagined what now?
Yeah, and especially because Miria has made no bones about the fact that she is not the little lady that she was raised to be. She's not going to sit there quietly and embroider by the fire whilst her husband rides off to war and has the parties and does stuff, right? Miria is, we haven't seen it yet in the fiction. It hasn't been referenced yet, but there was an event that happened in the 5-year time skip where Miria actually went with troops to lend assistance and was there at the war table and was part of the planning in a certain thing. And she basically turns to Ellery and being like, look, you know me, and I hope you would know by now that when we are married, I've got no intention of just squirting out kids every couple of years and doing nothing at home. If we're going to do this, we're doing it together. And she's like, besides, I'm doing this now so that when we are married and I'm like massively pregnant or have children, I can actually do something because I can't go into battle while I'm breastfeeding, this is not, come on, man. And I think he sees something in her and he's like, okay, yeah, I can't stop you from doing this. And he does actually say, well, what if I said no? And she's like, well, say no. You can say no, but it's not going to stop me. And if you try and be like, I won't let you, then she's like, we're done. Because I'm not going to be controlled by you. You don't own me. But then there's like a moment that's actually kind of touching, and he's like, well, if you were there on the field, I don't know what I would do. And to me, I read that as like he's terrified that she's going to get hurt or that he'd have to hurt her, right? And I think it shows like him, like they've got a weird sort of love language between each other. I think they're quite, I don't know, formal around each other, it seems. You know, you see like Mara and Alistair that were quite touchy-feely and like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. And Miria and Ellery are quite like, so, you know, like they're quite restrained, I think. And they're both kids from traumatic backgrounds, so it kind of makes sense in a way. But yeah, I think that was him showing his care for Miria there. And she's like, look, if we're on the battlefield together, once I'm in the armor, I stop being your betrothed and I'm just another dude that you've got to take down, or I've got to take you down. You've got to promise me that if we're in that situation, you won't act any differently. And he's like, I don't know if I can. But she, you know, she brings him around like, you know, if we're going to do this, like either today, tomorrow, all our days together, we've got to be equal and we've got to treat each other like equals. And I think it sunk in a little bit with him. But, you know, he's got to undo years and years of conditioning, social conditioning too. You know, like he's got to overcome the way he was brought up, what he was thought of. And Miria has to like also suck it up a bit because relationships about compromise. And this was her moment
of
communication, which is why she was like, I want this to work, so I'm talking to you about it. And there's something she's going to have to compromise on later too. But I feel like it was an adult moment for the two of them there. I thought they were quite grown up. But I don't know. Anybody else? Any thoughts on Ellery?
Yeah, I like Ellery this season a lot, and I think their relationship's really interesting. Mm-hmm. There's something about, and I don't know if we'll see this, we did see it a little bit at the end of last season. The couple of times we saw Ellery in season 3 when he was younger, you know. But there is like the famous peak temper. His father had it. Was known to be just able to like explode into like a rage, right? And we've seen Ellery have that previously, and I'm very curious to see like, does he like, is that something he's worked through, or is that something because he's still he's in a terrible situation, right? Like he is a lord, but he's had all of his agency basically taken away from him for the most part. He's having to basically work for his father's enemies, the people who took away all of their, you know, most of their castles, most of their land, and just kind of suck it up over and over and over again, which isn't that dissimilar from what a lot of the Dornish houses have had to go through, which it makes, I think, an interesting pairing, Miria and Ellery, but I am curious to see if he's pushed too far. What rash thing would he do?
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of my big worries about this tournament, especially with the ball, right? Because the ball is where we're going to be announcing the betrothal, which then makes him a target. And if it is known he has the famous peak temper, who is going to try and incite him to do something stupid? Or what is he going to do? If he sees Miria, if they're at the melee and it's the bit where like everybody's on the field and he sees Miria in trouble, is he going to do something stupid?
Is he going to like give her away is one of the things. If like, if it comes down to the two of them, is he going to, he's going to have to fight her, or he's going to have a damn good reason not to, because it's going to look real bad on him if he concedes.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to seeing if Mara's words end up playing somewhat true when she said to Miria of just you wait when you're married and you have a young lord as a husband and they're ambitious and they tell you that they're going to tell you everything and it's all going to be and you'll talk to each other, because that's what she did with Alistair.
Yep,
that's what they had, and the most important thing that he could have kept from her he did, because he didn't trust her when she trusted him. And it'll be interesting to see if Ellery does a similar thing. Being a young lord who, like Don just said, has kind of had to suck it up, that's got to build resentment, where when something comes up and it's shiny and you can just reach out and take it. does he reach out and take it regardless of what Miria wants, thinks, feels? Because, it's not just like the patriarchy being shitty to women, it's also really shitty to dudes, because all of these lords are constantly vying for each other's validation. They have to go to this battle even though they don't want to go and they don't believe in it, because they'll look bad if they don't, and if they look bad then no one will want to be allies with them. So it the whole system screws them over too, because it's all of them just, it's like influence battling for likes on social media. It's all they want. It doesn't matter whether or not the thing they did was particularly useful. They just have to look good doing it. And Ellery's going to get stuck in that position really soon, because now he's going to be married to the Lord of the House, and obviously, Alistair afforded Mara a lot of freedom. She said a lot of shit to him in front of people that most Westerosi men would not allow their wives to do. Like even in the war tent, when she basically called out Peake and he had to go back at her and got this close to basically telling Alistair to shut your woman up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he starts getting that pressure as well from the lords around him to do the same with Miria, who is not only going to be outspoken, but she trains, she fights. She doesn't wear dresses all day. I'm interested to see that, because it'll be an interesting adult relationship to see with Miria that I don't think she's had before.
Very curious to see once their relationship develops. I mean, if it even makes it past this tourney, because who knows, whether or not they end up working together as a force to be reckoned with, because I think both of them together on the same side, and I don't think it would be too hard to pull Ellie around to Miria's thinking, or whether Miria has to act in spite of him. I would like it to be them working together, because having an ally like that would be super handy. And as we've seen in the Crownlands, when there's a couple that's working together, it's scary. So
I can't wait to see where her story goes, because she is by far the character that I think we see most changed. Because not only have we got is she no longer in Dawn and in necessarily the horrific situation she was in for 3 seasons, but she is now an adult. It's not even just a change in Mara having figured out that her husband actually was terrible. This is seeing a character go from the way that a child thinks about trauma and the world to how an adult thinks about it based on that upbringing. And I want her to be Queen of Dawn. I support this. If you just let your sister in, she'll champion that all the fucking way.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. Okay, so after that, we were all heading up to the castle for the big shindig. It's when we got the outfit reveals for Tarly. It's when we got the castle revealed.
Yes.
That in the 5-year time skip, House Greenmont has been busy, and we had a castle made, which is literally carved into the mountains around us.
Lucas would be so proud.
Just ponder on a second how much money House Greenmont has been rolling in if we can have both a castle and a tourney.
Well, Maekar paid for a bit of the castle, right?
I don't know if he did.
I'm pretty sure Maekar put some money into something.
He may have done. I don't know. That's Marcia business. Her and that dragon, that's her business. I don't want to know what goes on behind that closed door with those two.
Pope just put into the chat watchtowers. Yeah, they can finally watch the road.
Yep. We have a reinforced bridge, which will be relevant later. We've got watchtowers. We've got...
It's going to need it for that heavy payload that gets dropped.
We've got curtain walls. It's we got 2 types of stone going on. It's a fancy castle.
You're ready for a siege.
Yeah. Which, makes sense considering that we're literally in the middle of a war zone. The Reach and Dawn, we are right in the middle on the mountains. So I don't know if the strat is to just hole up and wait for it to blow over, or if it's going to be a base of operations or what, but that remains to be seen as the situation develops. So then we move into the castle at the sign at the start of the ball, kind of people are filtering in. And Enzo is having a chat to Samuel, as Enzo needs to find a sponsor for Miria to enter into the tourney, because only another knight can enter a mystery knight into a tourney. So, Tom.
Yes.
What was the strat?
Well, the strat was to find a knight, any knight that I could find. Unfortunately, I didn't. Someone, pretty decent, which would give most of the juice. But I didn't roll high enough to really find anyone that was perfect for me. And then lo and behold, someone perfect for me just walks through the door in his fine regalia and lovely mask and everything. And I thought it'd be quite fun to try and get Sam to try and sponsor, because I mean, it's just, if only just for the juice,
right?
If only just for fun. I think it would just like rub Miria the wrong way so much, and I'm for it. So I thought I'd give it a go. Plus, I felt like, it was the start of a friendship, and talk to them again. Get a friendship going. I didn't really get a chance to talk to Mara, so there's another chance. So we did a little intrigue with the thing, and we both had quite strong positions. So Enzo was adamant he was never going to say who the actual person was. That was just not happening whatsoever. And obviously Sam, was very concerned about his reputation, as someone as a knight does. Reputation is very important. Hence, cute Mara. Yeah. And essentially we just did an intrigue, which was really good. We had both fairly thing, but I felt like, and at the end of the intrigue, I just decided to quit it because I felt like I took a frustration, and I felt Enzo. I mean, I could have carried on going, but I just felt at that point we might have just been going in circles, because I felt like I was on a point that I wasn't going to go off, and Samuel was at his point, which he wasn't going to go off. So it had just been futile to just keep going from a role-play perspective. It's possible if I just carried on with mechanically and meta-wise, I could have eventually just broke down the wall, or vice versa. But I just felt, for role-playing purposes, it was just better if Enzo just quit. Which he did. And then... so he still has to find a sponsor. There's plenty of knights. The night is young. There are plenty of other opportunities to find someone else. And if not, there's plenty of hedge knights that'll do it for a few bob. And then he went off with Simon because he needed his favor. He
did, but it kind of unintentionally made a scene because of that frustration.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Yeah,
so people were suddenly very aware of this conversation that's happening, and then suddenly very aware of this young lord and lady that were here that everyone has been talking about. And I think everybody knows who they are, right? It's pretty hard to miss Samuel. He's a tall lad, and he's there in that outfit.
Yeah.
And then he's got, everyone's looking, and Samuel's like, is it the mask? And offers Mara his arm in front of all of these people that are just like, what happened there? And Mara can only just think of no, not this time. It's not you. It's not anything that you have specifically done. It is the fact that we happen to be stood here when this happened. But she takes his arm anyway. But I think there's the hypocrisy in that as well. Like Don was saying earlier, that Samuel doesn't care about his reputation when it comes to Mara, but his reputation as a knight is very important to him. They both kind of have these weird double standards, like you said, as all the young ones do. We joked about starting a new house, whose house words were "Okay, boomer," because that's where they're at. But oh god, just perfect timing for that.
The most perfect timing. And so Enzo marches Simon off to the side and is like, give me everything you know. And Simon, in his typical Simon fashion, tells one piece of information in the space of about 20 minutes, because that's just who Simon is. And then Enzo's like, yeah, I kind of already knew that. That wasn't anything juicy. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just come on. The favor is not over.
So that was something that me and Jason talked about, because in previously for session 0, Enzo did a favor for it wasn't so much a favor as a loan. And he said, okay, you don't have to pay me back the loan, but you owe me, and at a certain time you're gonna have to come and give me. And he went, yeah, okay, fine. And throughout this entire season, I've been starting off, I've been thinking what I could use it, and a part of me was kind of holding back to see what I could find. But it kind of changed when, unfortunately, Jason had to leave because of his new job, which is fantastic and everything. But it kind of made me go, right, okay, if I'm going to do the favor now, it has to be now. What do I want? Well, I want information on everyone. And Simon's going around. He's got that big book. He's writing in all the time. I want to know about everything that happens during this tourney throughout the entire tourney. And then once you've had that, you're done. And I was actually quite surprised how quickly he said, yeah, okay. Yeah. I was expecting him to give a little... I was expecting him to go, well, I'm not going to do that. And I was going, well, okay, then you got to give me the money back then. He goes, well, I don't have the money. Well, in that case, you go. So, there was going to be maybe like a little intrigue. But I was quite surprised with him going, okay, well, I've got this to do. Okay, I know that. Anything else? And I've got this. So I was quite surprised how quickly he just said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Which was nice. Which was really nice.
I think that's one thing we found about Simon, especially in this episode, that he is willing to let loose information quite easily.
It very much seems that there are... He admits, like, to Miria later on, that there's a lot of people that he hates. Like, literally everybody. And I know that me and Jason have spoken behind the scenes, and he also, because obviously him and Mara have been in contact for 5 years, he's quite happy to spread information that will bring down the people that he wants to see brought down. What I did really like watching that scene from an outside perspective is he starts to hint at the rumor that he tells Mara about way back when, that apparently came from the mouth of Lord John.
Oh yeah.
That clip.
Then he just doesn't tell Enzo. He hints at it and then doesn't tell him. And I was like, no, this is the one thing you should tell him.
It's bullshit though, isn't it? Right? That's something that Simon just made up.
Yeah, right? Simon does not like the Oakhearts because of what they did to his sister, and by extension, wrecking his family all over again. Not like their father didn't manage that the first time around.
So it is possible that there's a reason he didn't tell me it. He gave the thing, but maybe, I don't know why, but it was going to be like, well, maybe there'll be consequences if I lie to Enzo. And they will. But I don't know. I mean, I thought he was going to continue with that. And
I thought he was going to
react, but he left it there, like just a hint of kind of, okay then. Because I think Enzo could believe that. That's something believable, just a hint.
Mara does.
There,
Fucking lied to his own sister.
It's, so yeah. It was good. I think it was good. I like the fact, obviously now, I like to hope that Enzo's got like a piece of information now coming into him as the because although Jason isn't going to be here, Sam will still have Simon's character, and so he can still do roles and this to feed Enzo information, which is very important. So hopefully, it'd be quite good.
Yeah. Simon is probably quite handy to have around because he's a maester, and we know that maesters are chatty Cathys, and so any information that they know, you're probably going to find out at some point. So I can see why Enzo was like, you're the guy with the information. You tell me what you know. Very interesting that you asked for people with servants not from, or friends not from Westeros itself.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Considering that we know where a certain person is.
Okay.
Play innocent all you like, Thomas. I see you. That's the second time today I've called you Thomas. I'm sorry.
I'm in trouble.
So after that scene, Simon then has an appointment to keep on the bridge which if you've watched this show before, the bridge it's just a little bridge that crosses a brook in Greenmont lands, and this is where significant conversations in the house have happened, where information has been dropped, where deals have been struck, where, you know, Oliver convinced Marcia to marry him, where he told Alfred that he was a bastard. You know, like, big things have happened on this bridge. So when Jason said to me, Susie, I want a scene with Simon and Miria on the bridge, I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. What's going to happen? I was 100% prepared to kill him on the bridge. Like, I was ready. I was like, I messaged him, Jason. I was like, Jason, are you gonna be upset if I kill you? And he's like, yeah, no, it's fine. I'm like, okay, we're golden. Because I didn't know what was coming, right? And years and years and years ago, not years and years ago, because it hasn't been that long, but back when we kind of first started, I wrote, like, we had this clash of kids, like AU, where all the Greenmont kids were fighting over House Greenmont. And one of the things I wrote was Miria and Simon on the bridge prepared to kill each other and, like, basically dying in each other's arms because they both murder each other on this bridge. So I was, like, mentally getting in that space, like, oh, here we go. And so we stood on the bridge, Miria and Simon is like, oh, you look so much like our mother. And she's like, I know. Jesus Christ. Everyone is saying that to me. I never met the fucking woman, but Jesus Christ. Like, you know, she's got, like, her whole life, she's had the spectre of her mum and her mother's death hanging over her. You know, like, even though she was a baby, it wasn't her fault that her mother died, but with her father being, like, with Lucas being so distant, and then, like, you know, like, she looks so much like Elise, it's constantly there. So as she's an adult and people are like, oh, you know, you're just like your mother, she's like, fucking Christ, give me a break. And it doesn't hit the emotional point that I think Simon was hoping it would, you know, being like, oh, family. And I think, no, also it was kind of a little hint of information that he was going to drop later that, you know, like, hey, you ever thought how you look so much like our mum and nothing like our dad? Maybe you ever thought about that?
Ever thought about how Dornish you look?
Oh, really Dornish.
Really Dornish.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Also, Susie, on that point, I had to message Jason earlier today because I had a tinfoil moment. And I don't know if this was done purposely. It might have carried over from Miria's original picture. But I looked at my phone screen that Charlie did an amazing job of, by the way. Charlie, they're fucking awesome. And I noticed that if you look at the 3 Greenmont children in that picture, Mara and Simon have both got green eyes, and Miria doesn't. She has dark brown eyes, and I was like, it was there from the start.
Well, I'd always wanted with Miria, because just to hammer home that tragedy of her, like, their mother's death, that Miria took after their mother the most. I just, like, you know, we didn't have the tinfoil from day one.
Oh, yeah.
There's something that developed later, but, you know, consciously, I always wanted that thing, because I liked the idea that Miria was always been kind of distant from Greenmont, in a way. She grew up there until she was 11, you know, she had a relatively happy childhood there, but there was always, like, that slight disconnect, and I think that disconnect, like, in their looks, too, was part of just hammering that home for me with the character.
I figured that it wasn't purposeful in terms of what happened on the bridge, but I noticed it today and it was like, I can't unsee it now. Like, tinfoil.
That, you know, that reaction, V, was the exact reaction when we found out about Alfred. And I'm like, you motherfucker. I messaged Tom, I was like, I am so angry with you. But so yeah, the bridge. Stood on the bridge, and Simon is, you know, just like our mum. And then he's like, I need you to do something. I'm paraphrasing here, because he sort of danced around it for a little bit before Miria's like, look, are we going to actually get to the point today? Because there is a ball going on and I need to be there for this. Or are we going to spend all night on this bridge? But he basically says, yo, I need you to kill Alistair. And then I need you to either kill or humiliate Lord John and help Lord Tarly look really good at this tourney. And she's like, why the fuck would I do that? Why would I do that? And he's like, you know, it's some retribution to those that took so much from you. And she's like, that's not going to achieve anything, though, because as I said before, Miri is becoming a bit more pragmatic. You know, if she said, you know, if it would make her feel good for sure to kill Samuel or to kill Alistair or to kill anyone who was involved with that. To kill Mara, probably. She'd feel temporarily good before the sadness kicked in. But it wouldn't achieve anything, and Miri's got her sights set on other things rather than her small personal level conflict. And Simon really, really is trying to get her to kill Alistair. Like, that's the main thing. And he's like, well, you went and saw him, didn't you? And she was like, yeah, so I could face the man that, you know, killed my godfather. He's like, hold up, though. What if he wasn't your godfather? What if he was your dad? And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What? This is fucking... What are you talking about?
He tried to do multiple things in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to, obviously, to play on your thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hate Alistair. You absolutely despise him, right? And, you know, if you give him the chance, you would stick your spear right through his neck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of like hinting, okay, you want to do that. You want to do that. But you want to do it more. This is like burning desire because, hey, guess what? Oliver's your father, right? Because of, you know, one thing that I remembered in the past is kind of thing. But that only doesn't kind of push you towards anger and like, oh my God, if he was. That also separates you from Greenmont.
Mm-hmm.
That's like pushing Greenmont further away from it and leaving you to do that on your own, so that Greenmont's over here, la 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 la, and Miria, you're on your own over here, just seeking revenge for the father that was murdered over here. So it is the way I saw it was kind of like a manipulative play that way. He tried to get you angry. He tried to get your emotions out of you to just like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, exactly. And he also said one person he absolutely hates was Oliver. That is the one thing he truly despises was Oliver. So why would he give a shit about Oliver's daughter?
Yeah, he was trying a couple of angles there. But I think, like, even though what he said was, you know, oh, I saw our mother and Oliver, and it was not a normal embrace. You know, it was a bit over the line. You know, I mean, come on, Oliver. He was best Westerosi boyfriend. He was everyone's boyfriend. Come on. That was his that was his evidence. But we have to also remember that Maria had that dream, and that dream has been playing on her mind. I know, you know, like it's a dream, but at the end of the day, she had that dream of him being murdered by Reacher Lords, and then he was murdered by Reacher Lords. You know, like I don't know if she believes in prophetic dreams, but in Westeros, dreams are important. They mean things. They are significant. It's not just like, I dreamt I ate a cake. Like, you know, if there's a dream in Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire, it means something. Even if it doesn't, right? But it's kind of like prophecy. You know, you manifest it. And so Mary has got that in her head being like, oh, fuck, what if it is true? You know, what if? And that's, like I said in the Discord, like, I still don't know how she is feeling about that, or how she's going to react about that, because she's kind of in a tailspin, because right now she can't think about it because she has to do this ball, right? She has to be present here. She can't just go away to her room and have a good cry and think about it, because she has to go put on a public face right now. But it's definitely something that I think we're going to see her either investigate or at least talk through with other people later on. But yeah, what a fucking bombshell for Jason to just like drop as he's leaving the game. Be like, peace.
I think it's interesting because I think it brings a complication to Miria that she hasn't really quite had to have yet in the way that I think some of the other Greenmonts had to, which is that family complication. Like, because although she was away and that was a whole thing in itself, she came back and Marcia was head of the household. The house was relatively stable. She wasn't there at the point where it was on a cliff's edge. And, you know, because we didn't know if there was going to be an heir. And so she comes back and she's got this relatively kind of stable family life. She's getting betrothed. Marcia is there. She's doing tours of the kingdom. And now suddenly, by the way, you're a bastard.
Well, that's the thing too, because part of this marriage is you know, she cares for Ellery, but also there's that very again, that pragmatism, and that she can basically only do this because she has the Greenmont name. There's the Greenmont family that are quite, you know, in good standing with the crown. You know, there's that history there of the Greenmont name, and then suddenly she's not a Greenmont. What is she going to do? Is she going to tell Ellery about this? Like, what does she do? If she is an Ironwood bastard, then that leaves her fucked politically, because there's Horatio who will never ever see her legitimized. Myron Martell isn't gonna fucking legitimize her. So what does she do?
I mean, that's marriage off right there.
Right? If
100%.
Ellery is politically smart too, he's like, well, no, I'm not having anything to do with this. Because
if she tells him, but even if she does tell him, and he's like, it's okay, it's cool, we don't tell anyone right now, and later on we sort this out, he's gonna then help her try and take her house, which means it's going to come out, which is going to end up losing allies in the end, because you just lied to all of your allies.
Yeah.
And you're not who they thought you were.
And not only are they going to take a house, they'll be taking House Ironwood, which are buddies with the Martells, which is then buddies with the Targaryens. You're starting a chain of events here where you're basically saying fuck you to the ruling class, which is going to put you in a tricky standing.
Which always goes well in Westeros. There's never ever been an issue when you have to challenge the ruling class.
No,
Not even just the fire. It's like every Tuesday, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only way I can see that working is if Miria tells Ellery, and then she convinces him to join Blackfyre with her. She strikes a very similar deal that Oliver did. And in Blackfyre dethroning the Targies, getting rid of the Martells, they give her Ironwood.
What I find interesting is that Miria
is
is
basically what Oliver wanted.
We know that Miria is the true-born daughter of Elite, who is a Greenmont. And I think it's interesting that growing up without her mother and a distant father, she doesn't even think about the fact that she's kind of still a Greenmont. She was born to Lady Greenmont, but that just like, it goes over. She is an Ironwood because Oliver was the one that brought her up.
Let's be fair as well. In Westeros, your patriarchal lineage is the only one that matters.
Oh, yeah. But like, I think it's interesting considering how she sees that things are different in Dawn for women to some degree in terms of the power that they can hold. And in all of that and finding that out, her mindset is that she is almost happy to reject the fact that she was ever Greenmont in that moment, because she's now an Ironwood is like what goes through her mind.
I mean, like, she's always kind of rejected Greenmont. I mean, she used the name for sure, but like, even look what she's wearing to the ball, right? She's wearing a Blackmont dress.
She's so ungrateful.
There is nothing in...
What is it with the daughters of Greenmont, Miria, of just being like, you see all of these people that we're supposed to associate with? Nah.
Well, it's a funny thing in Miria's point of view, because when your Lord Father, Lucas Greenmont, can't fucking stand to look at you, you're like, hey, maybe this shit ain't up to scratch. And the people within the household that were there for Miria and cared and loved her, beyond Mara, weren't Greenmonts. She
literally, Mara is the only living Greenmont child that had an equal relationship with her parents and a somewhat normal upbringing, sans rebellion.
So much like I said in a previous After the Fyre, that Miria's question is, who is she? We're still fucking there, fam.
I mean, we know who she is, we just don't know what she's decided to be at this point, right?
Yeah. But it leaves a lot of questions and a lot of avenues for things to go very wrong. And juicy fruits. And that's not even getting into the question of whether or not Simon was telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
Because he could have been lying.
Also, Harris. Join me in the love problem, sister. It's fun.
Let's
love triangle all of this.
So Miria would be a flowers, just for chat, because you get your bastard name for where you were raised, not from your father, because we see it in the Game of Thrones books where Robert's bastards are all different things. There's like the Waters, there's Stone, there's a couple, because it's where they grow up. So Miria grew up in the Reach, she would be a flowers.
But technically she would be the rightful ruler of
Dawn, because the Ironwoods
well,
were kings
of
before the
Ironwoods,
Martell
because-
Pretenders got here, which means she is the Queen of Dawn.
Yeah, because
Except she's a bastard, though.
does
That's the only
bastards
problem.
take a bigger thing in Dawn? Do they,
Bastards?
Orange people do not care nearly as much.
So,
about
yeah,
Oh
that.
so
no, of
technic-
course, bastards can inherit in Dawn, can't
So
they? If it's
technically,
left
yeah.
to them.
So because Oliver was the eldest son, it would go down to his
Myriad.
child, which would be Myriad.
Yeah, she
And
is
they
the
don't
Lady of
care
Ironwood.
If the
Yeah.
woman is,
If it's true.
If it's true.
if it's true, I don't think
We'll
it's
never
true.
know.
I don't think it's true.
Just make yourself the lady of whatever house you want, Miria.
That's the
Just
thing, right?
Mara's doing it. Your
But-
big sister's
but
doing
that's
it.
it,
She's
right?
just decided she wants to be the Lady Tarly. Just
We-
come and join her in that quest of taking whichever surname works best.
That's it, though. We'll never know because the two people who could tell you were dead.
Yep.
So that's it. You will never, ever truly know.
No,
Oof.
but again, like
Oof.
we said earlier, it doesn't matter what's true or not. It's just what people believe. So
Mm.
if Myria runs with it, then she's gonna, I mean, she's not gonna get a whole lot of support for sure, but she's gonna have to be clever about getting support for it and people that will back her up.
I'm interested to see who she goes to ask about it, because obviously I know
Mhm.
Jason unfortunately can't play with us now that he's got his fantastic new job, but you know, her big sister is there
Mhm.
who did have a life with both parents. Martzi is there, who was, you know, married to Lucas.
Mhm.
So it'd be interesting to see if she approaches either of them to see what they know.
Yeah.
Because I know what Mara would know.
Lana.
Auntie
Lana.
Lana.
Yeah, there are still people around who, if anything, would have knowledge of Elise, because that's probably where her suspicions are going to go more than my dad was in on it.
Mhm.
And that's going to be awkward because Myria, as we see, kind of avoids that comparison with her mother and her mother's shadow. And here it is again. And this time it's not people saying you look so much like her, which they think is a compliment.
Mhm.
Now it's literally like, you gave birth to me, but which one of these two dudes? which one is which, you know, can we Jeremy Kyle this?
Yeah, and that's the tragic thing too, right? If Myria had known Elise, probably would be a huge compliment. But she just didn't. And then when Simon's like, you know, she had nicknames for all of us. And Myria's like, what the fuck is that about? Like, why would you tell me that?
Yeah, right.
Why
That's
would you
like
say that?
essentially like she loved each and every one of us except you, because you know you killed. So.
I like to imagine that with Lucas being distant, like the only person that probably would have ever spoken to Myria about her mother was probably Mara. And Myria was so young that there was probably nothing particularly interesting that she could tell her at the time, aside from like, oh, your mother was very pretty or she was very nice, because
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
a child.
little kid,
yeah. There's no point her telling you stories about her mother's personality and these in-depth things that she would have known from when she was younger.
Mhm.
And I think we figured out that Mara would have been about 7 or 8 when Elise died. So like there wasn't really much to pass on. I think Mara realized a lot about her mother when she got older and was like, oh, that's what she meant. That's what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And by then Myria was gone. So like she really has been removed, not just by not having her there, but like not having anyone to pass on the memory to her, really.
Yeah, and it's like I did write a little story about when Myria was like 4 or 5 and she'd temporarily gone missing. It was Lan who was looking after the house while everyone else was at court. And in the story, she'd gone looking for her mum because she didn't understand that her mum was dead. She just thought she'd gone away and was lost. And Lan, you know, sat her down and was like, no, this, you know, you're old enough now, and told her about their mother. But I don't, even then, I think, you know, a teenage boy won't have the same understanding of their mother that like a woman would have. You know, like it's different between like knowing your parent as your parent and knowing your parent as a person, right? That's only something that we get as we're older, I think. And if you have a good relationship with your parents. But yeah, so that was quite the scene to end it on, as Myria turned back and headed into the ball, trying not to cry all her makeup off, as she left Simon on the bridge. It was
we also had Simon swearing at the graves, because he literally...
Yes!
He has a go. He goes up to see John's grave and basically it's like, you fucker, all you had to do was stay alive. You just had to not die.
Yeah.
And then has a go at Oliver's grave and then start shouting at the gods.
Yeah. That was a really good scene, really strong scene from Jason there. I think he did really well in that scene. It was very, very good. You should definitely watch, especially that bit. Like, Jason knocked it out of the park.
End of that episode,
yeah,
I think is going to be, I think the end of that episode is going to be to this season what Crone's Lantern was to season 2. That episode is going to be the one that sparks everything, because you've got Mara saying marry me, you've got Miria being challenged with her background now. Obviously we have Simon leaving. I don't know if there's a plan to like write in where he goes, but that's still going to be interesting story wise. We've just discovered that Enzo is now, you know, trying to get as much information about as many people as he can. That was the episode where like all of the foundations have been laid for everything coming up, I think, like it was back in Crone's Lantern, where we kind of had that, oh, this is great, everything's kind of, things are happening, and then tragedy hits and just takes the train off the rails.
100%. Okay, so just if you got any questions here in chat, because I feel like we said we'd do a short one. It's been nearly 3 hours, because this is what happens whenever we talk about this game.
This is our life now.
But get your questions in chat. But coming back onto Harris, V, I am 100% here for at the ball, Miria swaps partner. Oh, here's Harris. Oh no, and her heart does the little flutter, and she doesn't know what to do, and she's torn between love and duty.
I can't wait. I so can't wait.
I know, I can't wait either.
After her little speech about, well, you're married to him now, so you're kind of stuck there. You can't just change your mind about who you're married to. And then if Harris shows up and she's like, oh, well, now I have a choice.
And
she's going to be lost in Mara.
If Ellery is unreceptive, does she say, right, fuck you? And then she goes across with Harris. Like, is that what happens? Who knows? But I'm here for the juicy fruits and the love triangle. Like, I mean, obviously this is not what's gonna happen. Maybe, I don't know what Sam's got cooking. But if that did happen, I would not be upset by it, because that would be extremely juicy. I'm like, make it a soap opera. I'm here for it.
Charlie just put, as your mother, I have opinions.
But that's the thing, right? It's that decision between love and duty. Do you do it?
Well, that's
love
it,
is
right?
The death of duty.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Miria isn't really marrying Ellery for love, is she?
There's a bit of love in that.
I mean, that came after, right? When you started, but at the end, it was purely for, I suppose, strategic, political.
I think she initially approached it from that angle, but she's kind of the opinion of that so few people actually do get to marry for love that she's going to try, obviously.
Particularly at your station.
Yes.
It's very, very rare.
Yeah.
The love normally comes later, they say, right?
Exactly.
You know.
That's what's in her mind. Well, you know, because you sometimes do see it, right? People that have been together forever that maybe didn't start out too strong, but they've worked for it. And through that work, they've together become like a strong couple, and they found their love in their own way.
All I'm going to say to dear Miria is that your big sister married for both. She loved Alistair. And it was a good political marriage. And look where that got her.
Yeah.
Okay?
And then she's also going to look at what she's doing with Tali and going, is that for love? Oh, shit. That's also a terrible idea.
No, she thinks it's a brilliant idea.
Oh, I know Mara thinks it's a great idea.
Don knows what I've got up my sleeve come next episode. We don't know how it's going to go, but we've talked about what Mara's...
I have... thoughts and opinions on what that could be, and if it's what I'm thinking it's going to be, then I'm actually going to kill you, Virginia, in person.
Oh, I've already had Charlie threaten me. Wait, what do you think I'm going to do?
I'm not going to say it.
Yeah,
I don't want to give you the idea.
After whatever's happened, then you can fill us in.
You'll find out. If suddenly you do the scene and then my webcam turns off and you don't hear from me for hours, and then a little while later you hear a knock on the door like the next day, you'll know.
Okay, but like if you're going to show up and like murder me, can we at least drink some whiskey or something first?
Yes.
Just, you know, give me that.
It's the only way to do it, really.
Are you then also going to murder Don if he goes along with whatever you think this terrible idea is?
Of course.
Okay. Sorry to put you in that, Don, but like...
You're going to have to travel really fast. If you want to get it in before the end of the episode.
Yeah. It's cool.
That's how she puts a stop to it. Susie's like, Miri is stopping this right now.
It's cool. I've already got it planned, then I'll take Edelyn out for ice cream to cheer her up a bit.
Oh, there you go. Idea. So it's not all a complete disaster. Edelyn gets ice cream. So,
she will. She won't stop. The soapiest thing about the Harris situation, this imagined possible situation, this is just a thought I keep having, is that way back when we first started this campaign, we were talking about the Blackfyre Rebellion. Harris's father, Quentin Ball, was one of like the 3 Blackguards, like one of the 3 Kingsguards for Blackfyre. And Gorman Peake, who is Ellery's father, was the 2nd, and Oliver was the 3rd. I just wanted to throw that at you.
Oh, that is juicy.
Yeah.
Miri is such a troublemaker.
Oh, okay, yeah. Don, I'm not gonna lie. There are several things that you've said to me in conversations now that suddenly make way more sense now that I know that.
Charlie has just put a very interesting point in chat that one of the last scenes with Harris was Miria dancing with him.
Oh, never.
How much do I have to pay Sam to make this happen? Because I will. Like, I would legitimately just hand Sam like £100 and just be like, just do it. Just make it happen.
I think you'd do it for £100.
Their last scene together was after they were both being suspected of freeing Daera, and Harris is freaking out, and Miriam was like, it's gonna be okay. We can get through this together. Holding his hands in the courtyard.
It wasn't okay, was it?
No, it very much was not, and would not be for some time.
Sam, if you're watching, I will pay you to have Harris show up just to make Miriam's life that little bit worse.
All right, do we have any questions? Pope says, Enzo wants info, but for whom? We hear Enzo, but it's far more than that. Who are you working for, Tom?
I mean, if I say, it just ruins everything, right?
There might be a better question, Susie. Who isn't he working for?
I feel like that answer was very revealing, because he said, if I say, not that he's not.
I mean, that could still just mean him. This could just be Tom. Like, we did have the fun tinfoil is that Enzo doesn't actually want to do anything. He's just really fucking nosy.
Yeah, he's just really nosy.
I mean, I could see Enzo doing that. Yeah. I mean, he seems the type, right?
No.
No, I mean, Enzo seems the type that if he had information, I don't think he's the type that would like just throw it around like currency. I think he's the type that just like quietly sits on it and could happily sit on it for like years.
Let's not forget,
until there was a perfect opportunity.
Enzo is a pirate, and he wasn't necessarily the swashbuckling buccaneer pirate.
Whoa, what are you saying?
It's stuff that you directly told me, Tom.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I think Enzo is well practiced at moving information and selling it to the right people and getting it to where it needs to be. Question from Charlie. Who do we want to see dance at the ball? So we know there's going to be dancing intrigues. Who do you want to see intrigue with who?
I want everyone dancing the Macarena.
Done.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think me and Don are both on the same page with this, but I want to see Mara and Samuel dance at the ball just to cause trouble.
I want to see that because that will be juicy. There will be so many tuts like that. So many tuts. The look on John's face will be heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how I could see that playing out, right? Is that Mara and Samuel are like dancing on the dance floor, and then like everybody clears out, and in their heads it's just them in that room in the world like dancing together, and everyone is literally stood around them going, what are you fucking doing?
Do you know what's funnier? They probably wouldn't even need to like be imagining it. They just probably wouldn't even fucking notice because they'd just be having too much fun and are probably drunk.
Susie, do you remember what Charlie gave me permission to do?
No, don't you fucking dare, Tom. Don't you fucking dare.
Oh yes.
Don, please tell me that you also don't know what they're talking about.
I know exactly.
I have
what
no
they're doing.
idea. I have no
Okay.
idea. But that's okay. You can have your secrets.
Yeah, we have ours.
I mean, it
Those are
will.
cool.
It will eventually come out, but it's just funny because of what it is, and everything is just great.
Hope just put Lady Jane dancing with Samuel. I want all the hate dancing.
Oh yeah. There is somebody that Samuel intends to dance with, but I'll hold off on that until.
Oh.
I'll hold off on that until we actually play.
Oh boy.
I know who that is, and I'm screaming internally.
I think I know who. Oh no, I could only guess on who it is. There are a few people there that he could try it, with.
He'll dance with anybody too.
See,
people are having fun.
Enzo's own heart. Just have fun with it, Yeah.
I want to see an awkward father-in-law, daughter-in-law dance between Mara and Lord John.
Oh, Jesus.
Could you imagine?
It would be very awkward.
I want Miria to dance with Lord John so she can apologize to him.
I want to see that. I want to see her apologize. What would she even say? I did this on purpose to wind you and my sister up. Well, my sister up, and now I realize it was a bad decision. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, she wouldn't outright say that, so that's why she did it, but she would apologize because she had no idea that it would hurt him so much. And she's not cruel. Like, that's her thing, right? She doesn't want to be cruel. I mean, she was being cruel to Mara, but there's like a built-up hatred there. She doesn't want to be cruel to anyone that in her mind doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, there's a weird spite thing going on between them where both of them have been like, I'm not a bitch, but I'm going to do this one bitchy thing. It's the same thing like when she's spiteful at the beginning and Mara turns around and says, you don't get that from Mother. Knowing full well that that's a really shitty thing to say. Like, they're sisters. Yes. They're actual sisters.
So Susie,
yes, Tom.
Who would you like to dance with? Who do you think is... You don't have to say if you don't want to.
So here's the thing. On Tuesday night, Charlie and I had a action meeting where we discussed who was going to the ball, who should dance with whom, and what our general plan was. I think one, obviously, Ellery.
I mean, it's kind of,
it kind of has to.
Isn't it? Yeah.
One pie in the sky, absolutely juicy fruits imaginary scenario that I would love is that because we have some royalty at the ball, that fucking Marin Martell shows up. And he either is Marin Martell and asks Miria to dance to be a shithead about it, or he's asked Miria to dance and he's like, a man did a job.
Yeah.
Jason, I would fucking cry, and then we would be in the movie Anastasia.
That would be good. That would be good.
I want to see Marcia dance with Maekar.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
Well, here's the thing, though. Maekar brought his wife and children, so if Marcia dances with Maekar and they get a little too into it, then she's the home wrecker.
They're grinding, right?
Bump and grinding.
Yeah. Then, I mean, yeah.
But yeah, that would be...
Because I have tinfoil about those two.
Everyone does.
Will Dany be there? We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't actually
If
know.
she is there, I want to talk to her.
Think so.
Big time, I want to talk to her.
Just imagining you walking up to her with your fucking feathery sleeves and just being like, sup, bitch?
Just being surprised, bitch. Thought you saw the last of me.
Know how you thought I was dead?
Do you know how you stood there and watched your husband choke out a child and then drown her? What about that, Daenerys? Huh?
That's it. That's just like every Sunday for a Targaryen, isn't it, really? So,
I mean...
it's nothing.
You know, the thing we haven't talked about is just getting rid of little Let's Eat Wildfire before he grows up.
I mean, he would be...
A little shit, yeah.
He's like 10, 11 at this point. No, he's older.
I hope he's not fucking here.
He'll be like Miria's age. He'll be like 13, 14, right?
Miria murder him, marry him, and then murder him.
At the Tony of Ashford, he's like, what, 18, 17, 18? Or he might be a little bit younger.
I can't remember how old he is.
He's in his like mid to late teens, I'm pretty sure, at the Tony of Ashford.
Don't want him to grow
Which is a couple of years after where we're at now.
Look, we'd be saving him some trouble. He thought eating wildfire would turn him into a dragon. Like,
Jesus.
So yeah.
And
Enzo, who do you want to dance with?
Everyone. What's her name? The really rich single
Lady Rowan.
Yeah.
She's on my list too.
Yeah, get Lady Rowan.
She's not on Sam's list.
No, if anything, Mara and Sam are going to end up dancing very much in front of her.
You know what I want? You know what I want to do with Enzo? I want to pick the most powerful men in that room and marry and dance with each of their partners. That's what I want to do.
You let it fucking slip, Tom. We know the real Enzo Sal.
It's okay, we don't judge here.
Pope, I don't think Desmera is here, because if she was, we would have seen her by now, and she would be banging.
Desmera gets mentioned, and me and Susie are like, well, hello there.
Hello, Desmera.
I think we did that when Sam was describing Lady Rowan's dress, and I typed into our private chat, Susie and Virginia have entered the chat.
Yeah.
It's just like...
This is me whenever Desmera is mentioned. Hello, I'm single.
I'm picturing your husband next to you being like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
He's in the kitchen and he knows.
It's fine.
That you would leave him for a fictional Game of Thrones lady.
But yeah, there are some juicy combinations, and I am very curious to see what happens. Because I'm just gonna let this slip as a little Susie leak. Bad phrasing. There's a little leak from behind the scenes. The ball is gonna go across 2 episodes.
Right.
Sometimes, stuff comes out of my face and I instantly regret it the second that it does.
The problem is I'm watching all of you laugh and it's making me laugh even more.
Don's face is killing me.
Actually, do you know what? There is one other person I'd really like to dance with that I can say, because scheming behind closed doors. I'd love to see Mara and Enzo dance here to get that conversation. A dance intrigue would be so good for this.
They would be the prettiest couple dancing.
I think you'd have to fight Samwell for that, because I think the two of you are just... You'd have to have a pretty boy off.
Samuel is not
Samuel
mechanically
would be cool with
attractive.
it.
Yeah, mechanically,
That is true.
mechanically, Enzo has him by a long shot.
I think Samuel will be all right with Enzo dancing with Mara.
Or
yeah.
is this just going to turn into Enzo and Mara playing who's prettier?
I mean, I've got the hat, so
True. Mara has a neckline though.
I mean,
Have you seen Enzo's neckline?
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, just undo a bit more, Just...
It's just going to be Mara and Enzo. It's not going to be her and Samuel in the middle that get stared at. It's going to be her and Enzo trying to figure out which one of them is better
Enzo is
looking.
famous also.
Yes.
That is true.
And famous for good things.
Yes.
Mara.
As opposed to... hey, look. I'm sure there are some wild rumours about Mara, but some of them, while defamatory, are probably quite complimentary, really.
Oh boy. So, anyway, I'm so worried about that one thing that you have responsibility for, Tom. I know that Enzo cannot be fucking trusted with it.
Nope, he can't.
I don't know what this is, and I'm scared.
I don't know why she gave him the power, but I'm just saying, can't be trusted. I don't know exactly the moment yet because I'm gonna wait for the perfect moment. And then
it's a thing. You'll know when he does it. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I think that's got us all sufficiently hyped for the ball next week. I'm very here for it. I can't wait. There's gonna be schemes. There's gonna be dances. There may be wine thrown. Who knows? Just keep that pretty white pelt away from Mara, probably for the best, because it's not going to be white by the end of the day.
The problem is that Mara is not. It's not like she's like low key and can just be in the background and Miria won't notice her. Miria will absolutely notice her There probably isn't going to be a single woman in that hall wearing a white deerskin pelt with dried forget-me-nots sewn into it.
Nope.
Wine is a poison.
But maybe the worst thing Miria can do to Mara that night is completely ignore her.
Or just keep feeding her wine.
Who knows? Who knows? But I am extremely excited, and I just want to thank you all for joining us tonight. We have run over a little bit, and thank you all, my friends, for joining me here today for our After the Fyre. This has been our Westeros' #1 chat show for all things After the Fyre. #1 because there is only one, and it's right here. But join us next week, next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. BST.
Just UK, Susie.
UK. For the very next juicy episode. Is there anything anybody wants to say before we go?
Nope.
Charlie's screaming at me in chat because I forgot. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, the next episode of Flash Fire will drop. And this is the start of our series on each of the characters. And first up is Miria, because I make these videos and I know who Miria is, so I did her video first, and it was very long when I recorded it, and it's heavily edited because it turns out once I get talking, I can't stop. It is still 20 minutes long, so look out for that tomorrow in your subscription feeds on the YouTube. Other characters will be coming after that. And make sure that you hit that follow. And while I'm here, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Black Cats Gaming is making a 5e powered game of international espionage and action called The Spy Game. We still have late pledges available, so if you've not yet grabbed your copy, please do hit that link and have a look in chat. It is releasing later on this year. And I've got a behind-the-scenes look at it, and it is good, my friends. You want in on it.
Susie did some really awesome artwork for it, so you should buy it.
I am in the process of doing artwork for it, too. I'm having to draw things I've never drawn in my life.
I'm excited.
It's good. I'm excited. So yeah, check out everything Black Cats, and as always, if you want to scream with us about this show and other things, join us in the Discord. But I think that is it for tonight. Take care, everybody, and we will see you next week.